Hey guys, what is up? What is going on? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the astrology prediction for March for your zodiac sign. Very excited to do this reading for you. Be sure to check out your sun, moon, and your rising sign to get the most accurate prediction for your month of March. I personally do tropical astrology, so we're going to be going off the tropical signs. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm excited to talk about the astrology for March. One of the first things that I want to mention is there's no retrogrades for the entire month of March, which is going to be amazing. I love when there's no retrograde energy. Even though retrograde energy, it has its purpose, it has its time. It's just going to be really nice to not have any retrogrades during the month of March, and also for most of the month of April as well, we have no retrogrades. So it's been great. The month of February, for the most part, we had no retrogrades. It's been a good, little bit here. So I'm excited about the month of March. And as always, there's going to be links down below or timestamps so that you can skip ahead to the signs that you particularly want to check out. There's going to be timestamps linked down below in the description box as well as the comment box, so you can find your signs that you want to listen to and skip right over to those to make it really easy. So with that being said, without further ado, let's hop right into Aries. All right, so Aries, let's talk about your month of March of 2022. So we start off the month with the sun making a sextile over to Uranus, and that's going to be in your 12th and 2nd house. This is going to help you kind of think about maybe new opportunities, what you really want to do, some of the big changes that you want to create in your life, since Uranus is all about massive change, and Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, meaning like our physical world that we have in front of us. This is in terms of our career, our home, our comfortabilities, and things like that. With the sun making a sextile over to Uranus and the sun being in the sign of Pisces, which is all about our dreams, this is going to cause you to start to think about and dream about what you want to change in your life, what you want to maybe get rid of, and what you really want to be able to move towards. So this is kind of like really starting to think about deeper stuff that you really desire to strive for. Then we also have Venus and Mars making a conjunction through the 1st till the 12th of the month. This is going to be in Capricorn in your 12th house, or 10th house, sorry, and this is going to be a lot of drive and motivation, especially drive and motivation around reaching higher goals, because the 10th house is all about reaching higher goals. And so with Venus and Mars here, Venus is like, beauty, love, money. It's also the money planet. Mars is all about our drive and motivation in the 10th house of, big goals, dreams, aspirations, our career, and things like that. So having both of these planets transiting this area while being conjunct is going to cause you to maybe desire to strive for more. How can I create more abundance for myself? How can I take action towards creating more of my dreams and getting towards more of my goals? So Aries, you've been kind of going through this time now of thinking about how to expand, how to get bigger, and how to take more action. This is also about having more energy and creating more energy. How can we have more drive and motivation and more energy here? Okay, so this is going to be bringing you more of that, those energies. It's going to be bringing you more energy in general, more motivation and more drive, which is going to be great, especially since you're now kind of dreaming up all of these new ideas and kind of thinking about different ways that you desire to expand. Those two planets are also going to be making a conjunction with Pluto from the 3rd till the 4th, and this is also again happening in your 10th house. And Pluto is the planet of getting rid of the old, and it really starts to eradicate things that no longer serve us. Being in your 10th house, though, this is a time where I think you're going to really start to see what is no longer serving you and what's kind of holding you back. So there might be things within your career or within old goals or within old achievements that we've made that are now kind of surpassed. We've surpassed them, and now maybe we feel like it's kind of like a ball and chain. So maybe we, entered a certain career, but now we're thinking about expanding more, Maybe the old ways of doing things are no longer working for us anymore, and we're thinking about, okay, what do I need to get rid of? And Pluto's going to help you do that, because Pluto's actually a beautiful planet. It's also kind of a little bit of a harder planet. It's known as a harder planet because it does really tend to disintegrate things that are no longer working for us. But the key here is the things that are no longer working for us. So it's not being a malefic planet in any way. It's actually a huge beneficial planet because it's helping us kind of see and dig up stuff that maybe we were kind of ignoring. stuff that we're done with, that maybe we've been pushing off the back burner and we're just like, oh, I'll deal with it some other time. Like maybe I'm just like feeling that way for whatever reason. Pluto's going to help really start to dig up what is no longer serving you anymore, especially in terms of your career, your old previous goals that you've had that maybe we're not really feeling anymore. Different shifts in your life around what you now want to attain, the new stuff that you want to attain. And Pluto's going to help remove anything that's holding you back from that. So anything that's holding you back from your highest dreams, this conjunction between Venus and Mars that's happening between the 3rd and 4th of March is going to really help you see what's holding you back from your biggest goals. And it's going to really help you start to clear out all of those old stuff so that you can now begin to move towards those new goals. We're also going to have the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Pisces in the 12th house from the 4th till the 6th of March. And this is going to help you really start to dream up what you really desire your dream life to look like. Because Jupiter is all about expansion. The Sun is, of course, our soul and what we're kind of moving towards. And with the Sun moving towards conjuncting Jupiter in your 12th, the 12th house is our mind, our dreams, trying to expand our personality some more. So you might realize that there's certain aspects of you that maybe you're going to need to vocalize a lot more, that maybe we're going to need to take out of this repression stage, or maybe we're just going to have to start expanding our dreams and expanding what we know is possible for us. And so Jupiter being over here, it's going to start to really help you see the limitations that you might have on yourself. And it's going to help you start to move out of those limitations. It's going to help you start to see the bigger picture of what you can maybe attain in your life and maybe start to realize like, hey, I think I can actually do this. So Jupiter is going to help you really start to expand and to see bigger possibilities for yourself as well. On the 6th of the month, we're also going to have Venus and Mars that are going to move into Aquarius on the same day, on the 6th of March. So that's kind of crazy that they're both, you know, kind of doing this little dance together, and then they're moving into Aquarius on the same day. Aquarius is your 11th house. And so this is going to maybe have you focus on sort of a bigger worldly impact. Since they're coming from your 10th house, which is all about your career, your purpose, the big goals that you want to reach, then they're moving into your 11th house, which is, okay, how do we put these goals into action? What sort of things do we need to do differently? What sort of, you know, person am I going to have to be if I want to have these impacts? And how do I want to, you know, have my purpose in the world? So this is also going to help you start to define maybe certain dreams and aspirations that you have. What is the bigger purpose behind these dreams and aspirations? What do you really want to do? What type of impact do you want to have with these big dreams and goals? So if you have a dream to maybe, you know, make a lot of money in your new career, then these two planets moving into your 11th house are going to help you start to take action on, okay, what's the purpose behind that? What am I offering to the world? How am I going to help other people? Therefore, you know, I, you know, can gain more money or whatever in my career, for example. So this is going to start to help you define a bigger picture reason for these new aspirations that you're going to have. The next transit that we're going to have is the Sun is going to begin to conjunct Neptune, and that is going to be in your 12th house as well. That's going to be from the 12th to the 14th of the month, so in the middle of March. This conjunction is going to happen, and this is expanding your dreams and making them really known. Neptune is the planet of dreams. This is also when dreams are going to be really significant. So if you do have a dream journal, or if you don't, I highly recommend getting one, because your dreams might become really prominent around the middle of March, and they might be very significant as well. If you do not have a dream journal, maybe just even journaling in your phone right when you wake up, whatever you can remember from your dreams, whether that's as tiny as remembering a certain color or a certain feeling or something like that, because usually when we have the Sun conjunct Neptune, especially when it's in your 12th house, which it is, in the sign of Pisces, our dreams can be incredibly significant. So you might have some psychic dreams around that time, or dreams that are just kind of, you know, giving you clues and signs upon where you need to go and what you need to do. But this also will be a time where you are starting to think about, okay, what does my fantasy life kind of look like? We're starting to maybe think about that a little bit more. And with all the other transits that are happening, we're starting to realize what's possible for us, and the fact that maybe there's certain things that we're still continuing on doing that are holding us back from those bigger dreams. And then from the 18th to the 20th of the month, we are going to have Venus and Mars, which are going to be squaring Uranus. And this is going to be happening in your 11th and 2nd house. So this is maybe realizing that our material things, the things that we have in our material world, kind of need to change up. We need to maybe change some of our physical life right now in order to get in alignment with our bigger purpose. So maybe there's certain physical things that might be holding us back, and we're kind of realizing that near the mid to end of March. And we're kind of starting to see, okay, what are these physical things that are holding me back that I might need to shift and change in order to get back into harmony and into alignment with what I'm desiring. And then at the end of the month, we are going to have Venus conjunct Saturn. And those are going to be in the sign of Aquarius, which is your 11th house. So this is now asking you to commit. This is asking you to commit to this new self, this new life, and a higher purpose. So how are we going to commit to that? Because Saturn is the planet of commitment, boundaries as well. So what kind of boundaries maybe do we need around our friends and around having fun with our friends that are maybe holding us back from our bigger purpose? What kind of boundaries do we need in our life so that we can, you know, align to our purpose, to our bigger purpose? And, you know, what kind of boundaries do we need to have elsewhere in our lives so we can really start to commit to our bigger dreams and our bigger purpose? Because there is going to be certain boundaries that need to be created, new boundaries in order to create a new path, right? Because a path is defined by boundaries. If you want to stay on your old path, just keep the same boundaries that you have, keep going in the same direction. But you might feel a little bit uncomfortable because I feel like you, Aries, have been feeling like there's a new path that's emerging for you, especially within the past few months. And in the month of March is going to be a very significant month of kind of starting to dream about and realize what that new path might look like. But again, paths are created by boundaries. And if we're wanting a new path, that means there's going to be new boundaries set in place, new routines, new schedules, all that kind of stuff. And so with Venus conjuncting Saturn, this is going to be asking you to kind of create new boundaries. But it's also about creating boundaries that are sustainable and fun, because Venus also is a very light, enjoyable, fun, loving planet. So how can we love our new schedule and routine? How can we make it unique to us with all this Aquarius energy? How can we make this path unique to us, but still have proper boundaries so that we, you know, are staying on our new vision, our new path? How can we create those boundaries to be fun and exciting so that we're excited to create those boundaries rather than, you know, cutting off everything that's fun to us, cutting off all of these things to create this new path? How can we make this sustainable? How can we make it right so that it really feels right and fits in with us? We're also going to have a new moon on the 2nd of the month. I forgot to mention that earlier, but the new moon in Pisces that's happening on the 2nd of March is going to be in your 12th house. So there's new dreams coming up, new dreams and a new mentality as well, because the 12th house is our mentality. And then being in the sign of Pisces, this is going to really ask you, okay, so what sort of new emotional state do I need to be in? What kind of new person do I need to be? This is also, yeah, just kind of creating a new like mentality and mental identity, because maybe we realize that we need to be more honest and truthful and open, for example. That is one aspect. Maybe we need to realize that we need to be more honest and open with ourselves. You know, maybe we are realizing that we need to be more vulnerable, and we also need to maybe do some mental healing and work on our mentality so that it's working for us rather than against us. And the new moon is beginning a new stage. So there's a new stage mentally for you happening on the 2nd. And then we also have a full moon in Virgo happening on the 18th of the month. So around the same time that we have the square to Uranus, which is realizing, you know, where we have certain tension, where we need to shift and change our lives. And then the full moon in Virgo in the 6th house is closing out old routines, closing out old schedules, closing out old chapters around healing and around past triggers, things like that. So we're now getting rid of all of these old aspects of ourselves that maybe kept us in an old routine, you know, all that kind of stuff. So you're definitely shifting your path, Aries. So it's going to be huge. And this is, I think it's going to be a very defining point, whether you realize it or not. But I think a few years from now, you're going to look back on this time and realize how much of a defining time that it was for you, because your path is shifting. And in a few years from now, you're going to be fully immersed in that new path. I mean, even a year from now, you're going to be even more immersed in that path than you are right now, because you're really shifting all of those things right now. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very pivotal time for you, Aries. So with that being said, I wanted to shuffle a few cards to get one kind of, maybe one or two sort of tarot cards to give us any last bit of information on your month of March. So let's see what Spirit has to say for Aries. We have the Sun coming out. What a good card. This card is a beauty of a card. Let's try to focus on that. So the sun is such a positive card because it's starting to illuminate where we want to go, and it's also starting to illuminate our internal world, because there might have been aspects of ourselves that we held back or we repressed out of, you know, a feeling of maybe we just weren't as expanded yet. But you are expanding right now. The sun is about expansion and illuminating a new path for you. So you are illuminating a new path. You are illuminating new dreams. You're starting to let your real internal light shine, because you're realizing like, hey, I don't want to stay in the same box as I always am. The box that you are right now might have seemed like, you know, a great dream back a few years ago. And it's like, wow, I couldn't have even believed that I would have attained something like that. But now that you're already here, you've already expanded into this, it's time to expand again. Right? Now there's bigger dreams, there's new things, so we're starting to expand once again. So the sun is all about that. We're illuminating that new path, and you're starting to see what that is. And we're also illuminating different aspects of ourselves that we know we need to now heal and bring awareness to. So there's a lot more awareness around yourself, your own mentality, your previous boundaries, friendships, people that you knew, illuminating new, deeper purposes within you, and all that kind of stuff. So the sun is a very great card, and I'm very happy that you guys got that. So it looks like it's going to be a very pivotal, great month for you, and that is what we have going on astrologically for you, Aries. Hope you enjoyed this reading. Don't forget to check out your other sun, moon, and rising signs if you have not already, and I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye. All right, so Taurus, let's talk about your March of 2022. So we start off the first of the month with the sun sextiling over to Uranus. The sun is in Pisces, Uranus is in Taurus. This is affecting your 11th and 1st house. So the sun being in your 11th, making a sextile over to your 2nd house with Uranus, this is kind of like you wanting to maybe develop a new kind of self when it comes to your relationships, your friendships. I think that we're realizing and unearthing a lot of kind of maybe subconscious stuff. The fact that the sun is in Pisces in the 11th house making a sextile over to Uranus. Maybe you're realizing that there's certain shifts that you desire to make within your sort of persona when it comes to your friends, how you show yourself off to the world and things like that. So there's a maybe shift that's sort of coming about in the month of March of where maybe we're deciding and sort of realizing our subconscious patterns when it comes to friendships, or our subconscious patterns when it comes to our, you know, image in the world. Are we overthinking things? Are we, you know, maybe not having proper boundaries? Maybe we are realizing that we want to be more open and honest, you know, maybe we're realizing that we want to create a little bit more comfort and solidity, and that is coming through this whole Uranus and Taurus situation. So Uranus is, you know, you're going through a lot of internal shifts in yourself. Uranus being in your 1st house, and it's been transiting here for the past little while actually, and this is causing you to maybe realize that there's lots of shifts that you're going through. And I think that you're a very different person, especially from who you were maybe like 4 years ago. You know, there's massive changes and massive shifts that you've noticed within yourself, and you've been unearthing a lot of subconscious things. You've been, you know, realizing a lot of things, adding a lot of awareness. And maybe we're realizing that we still need to, you know, heal and make some certain shifts here and there. So Taurus, you're realizing that you are wanting to be a little bit different, and maybe we're wanting to be a little bit more independent. Maybe we're wanting to be a little bit more aware of who we are when it comes to our friendships and having fun, and who we are, you know, in the bigger picture of things. We're also going to have a new moon in Pisces in your 11th house on the 2nd of the month, and the new moon is this new you that's beginning to emerge. So on March 2nd, there's this new you that is desiring to come out. There's this new you when it comes to your mentality, your mindset, and how you know, present yourself to the world, and, you know, maybe certain aspects of yourself that you're realizing that you want to become more, you know, because there's a new you that I really think is emerging. It's like you're a snake shedding its old skin, and you're wanting to be this new person, and you're really wanting to be this new person, especially when it comes to your friendships and who you are within the world, within even social media, because the 11th house is also social media as well. So maybe you're realizing that you want to be a little bit more authentic, and then maybe there's also certain things that you don't desire to share, and then there's maybe certain things that you really do desire to share, and you're realizing like, maybe I really want to, you know, start really being this person and talking about it and being accepted for who I really feel I am internally, right? Because I think that you are making some massive shifts and realizing a lot of things that maybe we didn't realize before. Also, From the 1st to the 12th of the month, we're going to have Venus conjunct Mars, and this is in your 9th house in the sign of Capricorn. So you're starting to really solidify new philosophies as well, and I think that this is part of the reason why it's influencing all of these massive shifts within you, because there's new philosophies that I think are coming out for you. And there's also a desire to expand your knowledge and a desire to expand your freedom as well, because the 9th house is definitely like freedom, your independence. It's also about travel too, so there might be an urge to travel for a lot of Tauruses, or at least maybe just expand yourself or get into a new environment, because maybe we're kind of getting a little bit of an itch in our same old environment. We're just itching for more expansion, more freedom, and for a new sort of kind of environment. There's a desire to kind of like step into a new environment, especially in the beginning to mid of March. There's going to be this sort of itch to maybe expand for something more, and to also maybe expand your idea of the world, you know, your philosophies and what you really think of the world, your belief systems and things like that. Venus conjunct Mars is very beautiful because it's taking action towards that. We're taking more action towards our freedom, and maybe we are kind of thinking about new ways of expanding our freedom. With the planet of Venus, this is kind of like wanting to beautify this area. So we're wanting to maybe add more beauty and harmony and fun to our life, and to sort of adopt a more fun philosophy and way of thinking as well. I think there's this desire to have this more fun, more freedom sort of way of thinking. So there's this, desire for freedom, expansion, knowledge in new areas. I think that you're just becoming aware of a lot more. And then from the 3rd to the 4th of the month, those two planets are also going to be conjunct Pluto. And Pluto, a lot of people look at Pluto and think that it's a very malefic planet, which at times it can be, but it's also just a very, very, very beautiful planet. It offers some of the most amazing transformative energy, and that is like the perfect word to describe Pluto is the word transformation. So what Pluto does anytime it is, you know, somewhere, it eradicates anything that no longer serves us. And so Pluto, you know, it has been transiting your 9th house for a little while now, and this has been causing you to like revamp your belief systems quite a bit. So you might notice that your belief systems have been shifting a lot, like what you used to think, what you used to know. Maybe you're just going through a lot of like transformations here, but this is going to help you get rid of anything that no longer serves you and anything that's holding you back from being your best self. Feeling your best, doing your best, thinking your best, having a new philosophy on the world that helps you see the world in a more beautiful way, to where we're not, you know, being too hard on ourselves, or we're not being too hard on others, or, you know, we're not looking at the world from such a critical place. It's like we're wanting to look at the world from a more beautiful place. We're wanting to feel like our life is more beautiful, right? And so with Venus and Mars, and Venus is your ruling planet, making a conjunction with Pluto, this is really getting rid of like old aspects of you that you're realizing just don't serve you. Maybe gossiping doesn't serve you. Maybe a certain personality aspect of you or a certain mental aspect of you hasn't been serving you, and Pluto's going to really make that known and make that come to your awareness within the beginning of March. And with these awarenesses, we can finally transform and get rid of them and adopt new ways of thinking, new ways of being, that will help you kind of, you know, be more in alignment with where you want to go, because all of these planets are in the sign of Capricorn in your 9th house. So we're starting to realize what we really want to solidify. What are aspects of yourself that you want to solidify, that you always want to be? And what aspects of yourself do you want to unsolidify and melt away? Because Capricorn is a very solid sign, and with these planets being in Capricorn, this is time to really like solidify your belief systems being in the 9th house. So who really are you? And Tauruses, you're usually very sure of who you are, but with Uranus being in your sign, it's kind of been in a flip-flop lately, and we're kind of realizing that we're gonna, you know, going through all these changes, and Taurus usually doesn't like changes. Taurus is usually very sure of who they are. They're an earth sign. They're usually very sure and stubborn with it, to the point where they're stubborn with it. They're usually so sure to the point where they're stubborn with it. But you've been going through massive shifts lately, which have been amazing, because, you know, you're shedding your old self, you're shedding things that no longer serve you, and it's been really good and really healthy for you. But the month of March is really asking you, what aspects of yourself do you want to solidify and keep forever? And honestly, even take a notebook in the beginning of March, because I think this would be very helpful, especially with this whole Pluto transit with Mars and Venus here, this would be very helpful. And this transit's happening from the 3rd till the 4th. So it's really important to do this in the beginning of March. Grab a notebook and think to yourself, what aspects do you love about yourself that you'd never want to change? What aspects do you love that you really want to hold on to and solidify? And then what aspects do you maybe desire to shift that you're kind of realizing they don't really have your best interest in mind? What habits and belief systems and aspects of yourself don't have your best interest in mind that maybe we keep doing because it's like a subconscious program at this point? Maybe we keep on doing it because it's just what we're used to, it's what we're surrounded by. Write those things down so you can gain clarity. What do you love and what do you want to keep? Aspects of yourself. What do you want to transform? Because Pluto is going to help you transform this. And we also have that new moon, like I was talking about, on the 2nd of March, which is going to really help you step into this new self. So during the month of March, it's going to be super important. And even if you're watching this video after this transit already happened, it's still going to be beneficial to make this a defined, aspect, to define these two aspects of yourself, what you want to let go of and transform and what you want to keep and hold on to. This is still going to be transformative no matter what. It is going to be the most transformative though in the beginning of the month, okay? So I would highly recommend doing this if you are a Taurus, because there's going to be a lot of things kind of like coming up to the surface and a lot of transformation happening within the month of March to help you really move forward into your best future. And then from the 4th till the 6th of the month, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Jupiter in the sign of Pisces, which is your 11th house. This is asking you, what friendships do you want to illuminate and expand in? What friendships do you want more of that really help you, that really motivate you, versus which ones maybe kind of don't, right? And Jupiter is really helping you expand into who you really want to be, who you really want to be surrounded by. What friends do you have that inspire you, that you want to be like, right? Versus which ones don't. So this is another part of that eradicating, defining process. Which ones really inspire you versus which ones do not. So the 11th house, it's kind of like bubbling up to the surface to allow you to kind of see, what's a benefit to you versus what is actually secretly hindering you. And this is bringing up the secretly hindering you part of it, because this is in the sign of Pisces. So which friendships are secretly hindering you versus which friendships are secretly expanding you and could inspire you to be so much more. So that's going to be a huge aspect and a huge thing that's coming out in the beginning of March that is going to be really important to look at and to realize. But this is also about expanding your dreams and who you really want to be, because the 11th house is also your impact and your purpose on this planet, in this world. So what is your bigger purpose? This is time to expand into that bigger purpose in the beginning of March, because you're finally starting to realize and define the aspects that you love versus the aspects that you hate. Or not necessarily hate, but maybe just have a dislike for. So as you begin to define these, we're going to begin to transform what we don't like. We're going to begin to let go of that so that we can uplift and become more of what we do like, and to start to enhance those aspects of ourselves. And as you begin to enhance that, you are going to begin to expand into a much better, more advanced, higher version of you, more high vibe version, where you can be more inspiring, more creative, and feel like you're more in alignment with your purpose. This is a very beautiful, transformative, expansive time in terms of those things, and it's highlighting especially friendships, and especially, those aspects that are within you that maybe we're realizing we don't want to hang on to those. Maybe Taurus doesn't like change so much, but Taurus is liking change right now because it's helping Taurus become their best version of themselves, So this is going to be a very transformative time. And then up until Uranus kind of leaves your first house, which will be in another, I think, year and a half-ish, 2 years, until it leaves your first house, there's going to still be a lot of transformation up until then. It's going to really help you sort of define this brand new you. And as you define this brand new you, this is going to be the new solid you. Because Uranus takes a long time to come around, and just take advantage of this time where you're going through these transformations, because it's going to really help you redefine this brand new you. And the more that we can bring awareness to it, and the more that you are doing it consciously, that means you are making beautiful conscious changes of yourself so that you can actually become the best version of you during this time, during these transits. So we still have another year and a half-ish or 2 years left of the major transformations that you're going to be going through. But March is especially going to be a powerful time with, the sun being in the 11th house, the new moon that's happening here, and all that kind of jazz. So it's going to really help sort of define all these things, also with Venus and Mars, you know, being in your 9th house. So with that being said, then on the 6th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars that are going to be moving together into the sign of Aquarius. The sign of Aquarius is, of course, the beginning of your 10th house. So that means Venus and Mars are going to be moving into your 10th house. The 10th house is the house of careers and goals. So as you make these transformations in the beginning of March, I think that it is going to inspire you greatly upon new goals that you desire to reach for yourself. This is new career goals, new money goals, new goals in general, especially around the material world. So whether you want to like buy a house in the future, whether you want to, you know, save a certain amount of money to create a business, or, you know, whatever it is that you desire to do, the 6th of the month is going to be a very powerful time, because the changes that you make prior to the 6th of the month are going to define these new goals and the new action that you're taking in your life towards these new bigger goals. And these new bigger goals are going to be more attainable once we make that bigger transformation in the beginning of the month, when it comes to how we're spending our time, you know, the people that we surround ourselves with that are either, you know, inspiring us to be greater, or maybe not inspiring us to be greater. You know, it's time for us to really start to look at who we're spending our time with the most. What events are we spending our time doing the most? Like, are we spending our time doing things that are not improving ourselves, or are we spending time doing the things that are really improving us and helping us reach the person that we desire to be, you know? So getting really passionate over here, but this is just such a really powerful month, so I'm really excited about it. Also, on the 12th to the 14th of the month, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Neptune. And the Sun is, of course, in Pisces, which is in your 11th house. And then Neptune is, of course, there as well. So they're going to be in conjunct in your 11th house. This is helping you start to dream up a bigger purpose for you, a bigger impact that you want to have on the world. What person do you want to show up as? You know, so the 11th house, who do you want to show up as in the world regarding social media, regarding, you know, anyone in your immediate friend group or anything like that, or, you know, the entire world. So who do you want to show up as? Who is the most inspiring person for you to be? I think that you're going to be dreaming up a brand new you. And the more that you become in alignment with this brand new you, the more that you become in alignment with these bigger dreams and bigger purposes, you are going to, you know, start to reach for bigger and bigger goals and create a brand new path for yourself that is more in alignment with these really big goals. And this, again, I really want to repeat, it comes down to, who do you spend the most time with? What do you spend your most time doing? What aspects of yourself do you love? And what aspects of yourself do you want to transform? It's going to come down to that. So they're going to be really transformative. And we also have on the 18th of the month a full moon in Virgo, which is happening in your 5th house. So your 5th house is about like how we have fun, our enjoyment, ourself, also our children, if we have any, are also ruled by that house. So the full moon being in Virgo, maybe there's aspects that we need to heal around, you know, what do we find fun? Do we find it fun to reach for our highest aspirations and our highest goals? Or do we find it fun to just kind of like do meaningless things? And of course, both come hand in hand, because we need relaxation and rejuvenation. Those are very meaningful and very purposeful. We absolutely need that. We need to have fun. We need to, you know, do those sorts of things. But maybe we're redefining what is fun for us. Maybe we're starting to redefine, what do we find fun? Do we find it fun to like do something really inspiring, really creative, to like really up-level ourselves, up-level our vibe, things like that? What do you find fun? So the full moon in Virgo is closing out old chapters around fun. It's closing around old chapters around even dating, because this is also the dating house, the house of dating. So it might close out old chapters around dating, if that's something that's relevant for you. It might close around old chapters of how we showed up as a parent for our kids too, if we have kids. So this is closing out all those old chapters and inviting in new rules, new boundaries, new schedules, new routines that maybe we desire. Maybe you're desiring to have a brand new routine around the mid to end of March. So again, it's going to be closing out all those old chapters. And then from the 18th to the 20th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars, which are going to be making a square over to Uranus. And that's going to be happening in your 10th house and your 1st house. So we're realizing which aspects of ourselves, because Uranus is in the 1st house, we're realizing what aspects of ourselves are squaring, are, you know, sort of causing resistance towards how we want to expand in our career. So what aspects of yourselves are maybe hindering? Maybe do we have hindering beliefs around what we can attain with our biggest goals? Maybe do we have certain aspects of ourselves that are getting distracted, that are more distracting from our bigger purpose, our bigger goals? You know, we're kind of realizing maybe within ourselves, we have certain aspects of ourselves that are causing resistance towards our bigger goals. And that's going to become apparent. You're going to become aware of them mid to end of March. But the awareness over them is going to help you get rid of them. So it's actually a really beautiful transit. It's a very quick transit. It's only happening for 2 days. And so this is going to be, again, a transit that's helping you kind of realize the aspects that you need to shift and change about yourself to help you get into alignment with those bigger dreams and bigger goals. And there might be certain aspects of yourselves that you didn't expect to kind of like come to the surface around this time, because it is going to be Venus and Mars are going to be in the sign of Aquarius, which is helping you maybe see like different aspects of yourselves that maybe we didn't sort of realize before, that are kind of bubbling up to the surface. And they're wanting to be recognized, they're wanting to be birthed out into the real world. And then at the end of the month, we're going to have, during the 28th to 29th, we're going to have Venus conjunct Saturn in Aquarius in your 10th house. So this is really asking you now to commit to this new version of you. That is what this is about, this new version of career. This is going to allow you to make more money if you make these certain boundaries and commitments around what you're now desiring. This is going to be a very beneficial transit, and it's going to help you kind of see, okay, are there things that maybe aren't in alignment that we need to get rid of? Kind of just all what we were talking about earlier. So this is commitment to what you really desire, who you really want to be, especially in regards to your really big goals way off in the future, and the purpose that you want to have in this world. What is your purpose? We're going to start to define, Taurus, what is your big purpose in the world and what is holding you back from that. So with that being said, we're going to shuffle the tarot cards. We're going to ask Spirit to maybe give any last messages for Taurus for the month of March. Any last messages that Spirit has for Taurus. So let's see here. 8 of Wands. What are you wanting to move towards? New communication. What are you shooting for? The 8 of Wands, what are you shooting for? And this is also quick action. So I think that there's going to be a lot of new quick opportunities happening and coming about in the month of March. Maybe a lot of new inspirations as well. So we might be realizing like, oh, I have this new inspiration. I want to shoot towards that, or I want to do that. But things are really starting to move forward for you in the month of March. So 8 of Wands is definitely fast paced, moving forward, lots of stuff happening, new doorways opening, new opportunities opening. It just feels like things are finally moving forward. We're finally moving forward, and it's time for us to really shoot for new goals and really aim for new heights and a new vibe. We also have one card that fell out on the floor, and it is the Hermit. It is time to come out of waiting. It is time to come out of our shell, but it is also time to really take an honest, deep look at ourselves so that we can illuminate certain parts of ourselves that maybe are hindering us that we're not realizing. Certain aspects of ourselves that we don't want to hold on to or keep that maybe we don't realize. So as we define them in the month of March, it is going to become very apparent what we need to get rid of, what we need to keep, and what we need to strive towards. So that is what we have here. Those cards just confirmed it, so that was great. I hope you enjoyed today's video, this little astrology reading. Don't forget to check out your other sun, moon, and rising signs if you have not already, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye! All right, so my lovely Geminis, welcome to your little horoscope that we got going on for the month of March. So we start off on March 1st with the sun making a sextile over to Uranus. The sun is in Pisces in your 10th house, and Uranus is in Taurus in your 12th house. So the sun being in Pisces in your 10th house, this is kind of illuminating kind of like new career stuff. And when it makes it a sextile over to Uranus, which is the planet of like unpredictable change and things like that, being in the sign of Taurus, which is like material money and things like that, during the first little bit of March, this is kind of like new unexpected opportunities with money, with career. This is opening up new doorways, maybe even new ideas around money and career, about new ways where we can expand monetarily. Maybe we can expand in our goals as well, because the 10th house is also kind of big goals that we want to reach. So this is new unexpected opportunities that are coming your way to help you reach bigger goals, to help you expand more, to help you climb a bigger mountain. So this is unexpected opportunities coming in for that, unexpected new ideas coming in for things around that. And this is going to help you change up a little bit more of your material world as well. So this is expansion in lots of different ways. This is a really good transit to enter the month of March. And so this is really positive. This is a very positive aspect over to the planet of Uranus. So that's really great. And then on the 2nd of the month, we have a new moon in Pisces in your 10th house. So this is entering a new doorway. So as we have this Uranus energy, which is allowing all of this change, these new ideas to flow in, and then we have a new moon as well in your 10th house in the sign of Pisces, this is unlocking new dreams. This is new desires, a new self being born, new aspirations that you want to reach, new expansion that you want to reach, new goals, new mountains, new heights, new ideas. This is going to be a really inspiring time that's unlocking new dreams for you because this is in the sign of Pisces. So it's unlocking new stuff that maybe we didn't see before, opportunities that we didn't see before, goals that we didn't see before. This is unveiling the path about how to reach some of the big goals that maybe you've been desiring to reach, that you've been wanting to reach. This is like illuminating those secret hidden pathways, those secret hidden doorways and things like that. So this new moon is a really great energy for all those types of things. It's going to be great. And then from the 1st until the 12th of the month, we have Venus and Mars conjunct in the sign of Capricorn, which is in your 8th house. The 8th house is the house of transformation, deep transformation, I might say. And with Venus and Mars here in the sign of Capricorn, I think that you are transforming how you go about your biggest goals, the way that you attain them, or even what those big goals are. So some of your big goals might even be shifting, and we're realizing that we have new dreams, new desires, new goals, or that they're transforming in some type of way. And maybe we're getting more defined on what it is that we really desire and really want, what that dream and goal looks like. We're getting a new, bigger picture of that, a more defined picture of that. And we're sort of letting go of the things that don't serve us anymore, because the 8th house is also the house of endings. So we're ending our old vision. Maybe our old vision we're realizing isn't quite right, and we're sort of birthing out a new vision that we have for ourselves and realizing what that really looks like and how to actually practically get there. You know, what are the practical ways of attaining these goals, and what no longer serves us? What habits and patterns did we have that were holding us back from reaching our big goals, right? So there might have been certain, mindsets that we had. There might have been certain, directions that we were in that weren't really helping us reach those big goals. And so now we're finally being able to transform those and release those so that we can now step into the proper, correct way, the correct pathway to attaining our biggest goals and desires. So it's like cleaning out the old, transformation, and realizing how to actually get there in a very practical way. It is also going to be making a conjunction over to the planet of Pluto. Those two planets, Venus and Mars, are going to be conjuncting Pluto in your 8th house as well from the 3rd till the 4th of the month. So as these planets reach Pluto, Pluto's adding that extra bit of transformational energy. It is very similar to the 8th house. And so it's kind of adding that little extra oomph of, okay, what are the things that are no longer serving us? And Capricorn also deals with like being a little bit self-deprecating. So if Gemini, if you ever noticed that maybe you've been a little bit hard on yourself lately, you've been extra hard on yourself when it comes to, your mindsets, getting inspired, just being extra hard on yourself in all sorts of different ways when it comes to maybe your career, even your drive, your motivation, your energy. If you've been extra hard on yourself, Pluto, this conjunction that these planets are making over to Pluto, is going to be very healing for you. This is going to really help you start to unearth some of those things and kind of realize maybe where they're stemming from, so that we can, rip out the stem and realize like, hey, that's no longer serving me. I don't want to have that seeded inside of me, because maybe we have certain seeds that have been a little bit harsh and they're not really serving us. And so Pluto's a beautiful planet, and it's oftentimes seen as a very hard planet, but it's a very, very positive planet because it unearths the things within us that no longer serve us. Maybe those had a purpose at one point in order for us to like learn and grow from, but they're no longer serving us. So Pluto's going to help us kind of unearth that and get rid of, those roots that have maybe been causing us more harm than good, right? So this is actually going to be a very beneficial time, and it's happening at the beginning of March from the 3rd until the 4th. So you're going to start realizing and unstemming those things that were maybe, not really serving us in the best way possible. So now we're finally, unearthing that, allowing that to transform and sort of adopting new ways and replacing that with something that's better. And so being in the sign of Capricorn, it's going to replace any self-deprecating you know, thoughts or mindsets or habits or patterns. And it's now going to replace that with self-motivation rather than self-deprecation. It's going to be rather motivation, finding inspiration, how to expand yourself rather than put yourself in a hole, right? Because I think one of the biggest realizations here is that when we're hard on ourselves, when we talk negatively to ourselves, because when we're realizing like, oh, I have this flaw, blah, and we push ourselves down, we're taking whatever our problem was and we're squeezing it in even tighter to ourselves. You know, we're self-deprecating ourselves because of our problems, which pushes us further into a problem. It pushes us further into a hole that's harder to get out of, because instead of uplifting ourselves out of the problem, we're focusing on it, we're hyper-focusing on it and making it worse. Right? We're pushing ourselves down, we're pushing ourselves backwards for having a problem, rather than what we can do instead. If we're noticing certain flaws or we're noticing certain things that we're disliking or whatever, we could rather uplift ourselves in a positive direction, which uplifts us out of that issue rather than pushes us further into the issue. So I hope that's making sense. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that a lot of Geminis are realizing in the beginning of March, is sort of realizing like, hey, I've been doing this a little bit backwards lately. I need to kind of shift this around and rather pull myself towards where I want to be. You know, anytime I notice a flaw, I need to pull myself towards where I want to be, motivate myself to where I want to be, rather than hyper-focusing on the flaw and making it worse. So that, I think, is going to be one of the big realizations. And then also in the beginning of the month, from the 4th until the 6th, we are going to have the Sun conjunct Jupiter. And this is a very positive transit. This is happening in Pisces in your 12th house. This is expansion in your career, finally realizing, oh, what are the opportunities that are here, right? So instead of the, you know, hyper-focusing on all those little things and kind of pushing ourselves back down the mountain, we are now going to realize the expansion and start to realize how big and vast this mountain is and how many opportunities exist here for us. So Gemini, you're going to start realizing that there's so many more opportunities in front of you than you previously realized. There's so much more to reach. There's so much more possibility here. And this is really going to be coming out in the beginning of March. And this is goal expansion, career expansion, expansion in your material world as well. So there might be certain opportunities to expand there. This is all happening within the sign of Pisces. So you're finally realizing maybe the hidden stuff that was sort of there all along, but we were kind of almost like ignorant to it because our mindset wasn't in the proper place maybe, right? And so different things that we weren't seeing before are going to come to the surface to help us really expand in the beginning of March. Then on the 6th of the month, we are going to have Venus and Mars that are going to move together into the sign of Aquarius. So they were in Capricorn in your 10th house, and now they're moving into the sign of Aquarius, which is your 9th house. And so with these two planets moving over here into your 9th house, this is now going to begin taking action and sort of like having fun within your philosophies. Now we're going to be more focused on healing our mindsets, adopting new ways of thinking, because in the sign of Aquarius, this is like that new energy. This is sort of like a different energy coming in. And now being in the 9th house with these two planets transiting over here, this is a new sort of like way of taking action on your future, new inspiration coming in around, you know, your belief systems, what belief systems really motivate you and help you versus which belief systems do not, which belief systems maybe hinder you. The 9th house is also about travel as well, so I would not be surprised if travel is something that a lot of Geminis might be thinking around the middle of March, or even around, you know, the 6th, because that's when these two planets move in here. And it's going to be offering more energy around travel and expansion and learning new things as well. The 9th house is also about learning new things, so a lot of Geminis might also be interested in expanding their knowledge or skill set in some way. Then from the 12th to the 14th, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Neptune. Those are both in the sign of Pisces, which is in your 10th house. And this is going to be expanding your dreams within your goals, the things that you want to reach. Neptune also deals with media, and being in the sign of Pisces, that's very media-esque. And being in the 10th house, this is your careers and your goals. So maybe there's new goals here around media. Maybe there's new goals here around, you know, your relationship with social media, whether you work on it or not, or whether you want a place in it or not. Even if you're not even in social media at all, this would be more about like your dreams, your fantasies, because Neptune is also about your dreams, your fantasies, and deep desires that you have. So This is opening up new chapters within your dreams and desires, possibly new chapters within like social media or media in general, you know, working with that, or anything along the lines of that. So definitely new chapters beginning there. This can be illumination within media. This can be more illumination within your just deepest fantasies and things like that. Then on the 18th of the month, we have a full moon in Virgo, which is happening in your 4th house. So the full moons are all about closing out old energy. And in the sign of Virgo in your 4th house, this is closing out old chapters within your home life or within your foundation. So certain routines, habits, things like that you've had within your home life or your foundation, those things are going to be closing out. That's closing out that old chapter. This could also be closing out old chapters within healing, maybe like healing around your home, healing around your foundation, something along the lines of that. This is going to be closing out those old chapters so that you can open up and start a new chapter, because the full moon is closing that. We're closing out some old stuff around our home life. There might have been a certain phase that you went through within your home life, a certain chapter that you had that is now closing out and finishing so that a new one can be birthed. And so this is also going to be an inspiring time around your home life as well. And then from the 18th till the 20th, we have Venus and Mars, which are going to be squaring Uranus, and those are in your 9th and 12th house. So this can be realizing maybe what belief systems that we have around money, because Uranus being in the sign of Taurus in your 12th house, this can be maybe subconscious belief systems that we have around change or around money, things like that, making a square over to Venus and Mars, which are in your 9th house. So what belief systems are holding us back from our bigger dreams? What is coming into conflict here? Because a square is bringing awareness to certain conflicts or certain restrictions that we don't really notice are there. So we might be noticing near the end of the month certain restrictions or belief systems that we have that are maybe stopping us from expanding into our dreams to the fullest. But this is a short transit. So it's only a 2-day transit from the 18th to the 20th, or I guess 3 full days. But yeah, this is kind of like what is holding you back, and sort of unearthing what that is so that we can heal that and we can close out that old chapter. And then right after that, from the 28th till the 29th, we're going to have Venus conjunct Saturn. And those two are going to be in the 9th house. So this is also going to be committing yourself to a new belief system, committing yourself to maybe a new venture or a new hobby or a new interest as well, like a new interest of learning. So there's something here where we really needing to commit ourselves to a new path in regards to our belief systems and our expansion and what we are learning and how we are growing in those areas. So that is what we have for the month of March for my beautiful Geminis. It's going to be a transformative month. It looks like there's going to be lots of career stuff happening. Lots of career stuff, lots of stuff around belief systems, maybe possibly learning something new, and transforming, lots of transformation around like money and old ways of being so that you can actually expand more in terms of career. Because we have tons of 10th house stuff happening for you. So with that being said, we're going to take our tarot cards and get any last kind of info from Spirit upon what they want to say for the Geminis for the month of March. So what else do we have for Geminis in the month of March? We have the King of Wands being reversed. So where are we maybe restricting what inspires us most? Because I feel like some Geminis maybe have had certain mindsets that maybe have been a little bit restricting lately, or stopping yourself from having the most fun, or repressing yourself lately, things like that. So there's lots of transformation that's going to happen around, you know, who you really are, and like maybe these self-deprecating kind of belief systems that we've had with all this Capricorn 8th house energy. So with all of this, where have you been maybe withholding your light? Where do you need to now shine that light to be your best, to invite in more energy, more inspiration, so that you can really align to your goals? Because you have King of Wands energy. The fact that King of Wands even came up, you have King of Wands energy. Where are you repressing that because maybe we're scared of like what other people are going to think or say, or maybe we are scared of our own judgments of ourselves, right? So where are we holding ourselves back? We need to put back the crown on. We need to become that king, queen again. We need to put our crown back on so that we can be back in our position of shining our light, feeling our best, rather than self-deprecating ourselves or, you know, being in a little bit more of a negative mindset. Instead, we need to uplift ourselves. We need to shoot our arrow upwards rather than downwards, right? We need to motivate ourselves to be our best self, to step into that light, rather than shooting our arrow downwards at our own foot. So that is what we have here, some news for Gemini. It's going to be a huge transformative month, getting more in alignment with some bigger dreams, bigger goals, lots to do with career or, you know, big achievements that you want to get to and to create. And those are going to be transforming quite a bit. And you're realizing what exactly is it that you really want and what are the practical paths to actually get there. What do those paths actually look like? It's going to be transforming a bit, but it's helping you get deeper into alignment with where you need to go and seeing the bigger picture with more clarity. So that's what we have here for my lovely Geminis. I hope you enjoyed this horoscope. Also, again, yeah, there's something closing out around home life during the end of the month as well. So keep that in mind as well. An old chapter is maybe coming to a close there. Maybe you're realizing, this could even be something to do with like wanting to redecorate and realizing that your old style has changed. It could even be something like that, but I feel like it's going to be a little bit more significant. Like there's some sort of chapter here that is ending around home life and rescheduling and, you know, having a new schedule and whatnot. So it's going to be deeply transformative. Very excited about it. There's going to be a lot of energy moving forward with this no retrograde time. We're finally moving a lot of things to where they need to go. I also want to mention, with all of this like Venus 8th house energy that's kind of happening as well, I do quickly want to mention that this can also be unearthing new ways of making money that we didn't realize before. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in. There's going to be like unearthing new motivation that we didn't realize was there because Mars is going to be here too. We're unearthing motivation and energy from places where maybe it was kind of like repressed and hidden. We didn't see that. Maybe there were certain things standing in the way. So we're transforming all of that. So now we can bring back our energy full force, and we can bring back our vitality and our beauty, our love for beauty, our love for, you know, what we desire to do, and unearthing new ways of making money as well. So that is what is happening in the month of March. I hope you enjoy it to its fullest, to its max. I'm sending you all of my love, and hopefully I see you in my next video. Be sure to check out your other sun, moon, and rising signs if you have not already, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. I'm stuttering right now. It's very Gemini of me. I am a Gemini and we're on the sign of Gemini, so it's only appropriate to stutter. But yeah, hopefully I see you in my next video. I hope you have a great month, and I will see you there. Bye. All right, so Cancers, welcome to your horoscope for the month of March. This is for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We start off the month of March with the Sun sextiling Uranus. The Sun is in your 9th house in the sign of Pisces, and Uranus is in Taurus in your 11th house. So these two making a sextile over to each other, this is you really desiring to maybe change up, you know, what you believe, how you see the world, realizing that your perspective really matters, and your perspective really has an impact on how you see the world and what kind of manifests and you know, how you experience the world. Your perception has such a big impact on that. So we start off the month of March kind of with that big realization, and I think even by the end of February, a lot of Cancers have been sort of realizing that. On the 2nd of March, we're going to have a new moon in Pisces in your 9th house. So this new perspective is really going to start birthing, and we're realizing like how much our subconscious maybe impacts how we see the world and our philosophy and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that there's this desire to start being like more positive and, you know, thinking about the world more positively, thinking about yourself more positively, and thinking about the future more positively as well. And so this is a realization that there's more available to you. There's more options available to you than what we previously realized. There's more pathways in front of you, and the more that we begin to just open up our own mindset, the more we begin to sort of see those things in the world as well. And so this new moon is going to really help sort of like revamp your mindset, essentially. And then from the 1st to the 12th of the month, we're going to have Venus conjunct Mars in the sign of Capricorn in your 7th house. And so this is bringing a focus over to relationships, and being in the sign of Capricorn is sort of like, where do we see our relationships going? What do we want from our relationships? And how are we going to make the best out of them? I think a lot of Cancers have been desiring to focus on their friendships and their partnerships a little bit more. And with Venus and Mars conjunct over here, we're desiring to find more balance in our relationships, and we're also just desiring to kind of see them get to the next level. Like, I think a lot of Cancers have been wanting to either, you know, maybe get deeper or maybe just expand more within relationships and find more balance and sort of just reach new heights here. From the 3rd until the 4th of the month, we also have these two planets that are going to conjunct Pluto in the 7th house. So all of these 3 planets are going to be conjunct, which is Venus, Mars, and Pluto in your 7th house from the 3rd until the 4th of March. And this is endings and beginnings, because Pluto is a very transformative planet, and anything that reaches it, anything that touches it, it kind of gets transformed by Pluto's energy. It's a very transformative planet. A lot of people see Pluto as something that's a little bit harder and a little bit harsher, but it is actually a very beautiful planet that offers amazing transformation. Basically, Pluto, it sort of illuminates certain things that no longer serve us. Certain things that no longer serve us. It illuminates that so that we can then get rid of it and shed it. Pluto's like the snake that's shedding its skin, right? And so with these being in your 7th house, this is now going to begin to help you realize certain things in your relationships, whether that's friendships, your very close partnerships, your intimate relationships, whatever it may be. We're going to start realizing and illuminating, I don't know, friends that no longer serve us, mindsets that no longer serve us, interactions with friends that no longer serve us, maybe certain ways that we're used to hanging out with friends that we're realizing is no longer satisfying or serving us, and we're realizing that we want to take this to the next level. Capricorn wants to take things to the next level, and it does not settle for anything less than what it desires. And so I think with these planets here kind of transiting your 7th house is bringing this realization that there's certain friends that maybe aren't living up to what we expect out of them, and maybe we're needing to bring out important conversations, or there's certain intimate partnerships that maybe we're needing to have deeper conversations with, because we're realizing that there's certain things we don't want to do anymore, there's certain things we don't want to put up with anymore, and there's certain things that we just want to transform. We're wanting to transform certain aspects of our relationships so that we can really up-level them and we can get them to where we want them to go and get them where they need to go and things like that. We're definitely wanting to, you know, just make more out of our relationships, because again, there's certain things that are just not very satisfying to us anymore that we're really wanting to take action on in order to transform it and bring it back to, or bring it up to what we desire it to be. From the 4th till the 6th of the month, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Jupiter. And this is going to be happening in your 9th house in the sign of Pisces. And so the Sun conjunct Jupiter, this is kind of a spiritual awakening when it's happening in your 9th house in the sign of Pisces. And this is sort of realizing that we want to expand our belief system. We want to be able to maybe see more. Maybe we're wanting to learn more. Maybe we're realizing that there's certain areas where maybe we don't have a lot of knowledge, and we're like, hey, I'm getting introduced to a new subject that I really want to explore deeper and I want to learn more about it. And so in the beginning of March, from around March 4th till March 6th, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Cancers get sort of a new interest that they really want to dive deep on, and they really want to expand more in. So this could be like a new spiritual belief, especially since it's in the sign of Pisces. So it's kind of like illuminating, I don't know, just sort of deeper intuitions, expanding our intuition. This can also be expanding certain aspects of travel as well, since Jupiter is the sign of is the planet of travel that rules travel, and then also it is in the 9th house of travel as well. So this could also mean that some Cancers are now thinking about travel plans, or just thinking about different ways to expand their life. Maybe they're thinking about expanding in multiple different aspects, right? So this is like you wanting to expand knowledge, expanding your life experience in some way, just expanding who you are in general. I think a lot of Cancers are feeling this expansive energy, especially around the beginning of March. And then on March 6th, we have Venus and Mars together are going to move into the sign of Aquarius. They were both in the sign of Capricorn, and they are going to be moving together at the same time on the same day into the sign of Aquarius. So this is a really beautiful kind of conjunction. They're just doing a dance over into the sign of Aquarius in your 8th house. And this is transformations, and I think that you're going to realize around the 6th of March, so sometime around the 6th, is this realization that maybe there's certain aspects of life that we're a little bit unsatisfied with, that we deeply desire to transform in order to make them better. Because the 8th house is all about transformations, endings, and beginnings, and the planet of Venus and Mars both entering here we're desiring to maybe transform our relationships because that's Venus, or maybe we're desiring to transform our money in some way, since that's also a Venus kind of aspect. And then Mars is we're wanting to take action on something. So maybe there's something that we are kind of like dissatisfied with, maybe something that we want to make better. You know, we're wanting to improve on something. So we're wanting to take it to the next level. And being in the sign of Aquarius, we're maybe wanting a sense of newness in our life. Maybe we're desiring to change things up a little bit because maybe things just aren't the way that they used to be, right? So things aren't the way they used to be anymore. And now we're realizing, okay, we have to think outside of the box. We have to make a sort of new sort of schedule for ourselves, a new idea of our future. And so I think you are going to be thinking of lots of different things outside of the box where you can continue expanding yourself, how you can continue moving forward in life, regardless of what's happening outside of you. You're starting to think about, okay, how can I make the most out of my life? What can I do to expand still? What can I do? What do I need to transform, basically? And then from the 12th to the 14th of the month, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Neptune in the sign of Pisces in your 9th house. Neptune is the dreamy planet. Like, what do we dream of? What do we really want to create here? Being in the sign of Pisces in your 9th house, this is maybe what are some new hobbies that we want to partake in? And this can also be another aspect of like small little spiritual awakenings. So maybe we're having, some other little small spiritual awakenings, but these ones are quite positive considering the transits that we have are quite positive during the month of March. So there's like positive new dreams, new goals. The 9th house is also about freedom as well. And so with the planet of Neptune conjunct the Sun, this is also kind of seeing new ways of freedom, seeing new ways of creating freedom and creating a bigger dream life for ourselves and expanding more into that. So yeah, it's like new ways of freedom, new ways of travel, kind of imagining a new life for yourself in the future and the dreams that you want to attain and get to. Then on the 18th of the month, we're going to have a full moon in Virgo, which is going to be in your 3rd house. The 3rd house does deal a little bit with friendships. It also deals with the mind, with communication. The full moon in Virgo is kind of closing out old ways of being. So maybe there was old restrictions that we used to have because Virgo is a little bit more, it's an earth sign. It's a little bit more sort of restrictive and predictable. And maybe we're realizing that there's certain predictabilities that just aren't predictable anymore. And we're needing to close out old chapters because our world is changing, therefore we must change with it. And so that's going to be a big realization around the 18th of the month, and maybe we're needing to close out old expectations. Maybe we're needing to close out old ways of thinking and old ways of doing things, old routines, old habits, and things like that. And we're needing to welcome in new habits and create all this newness. And that's why we have all this 9th house energy going on, and then this closing out with this full moon in Virgo on the 18th, which is happening in your 3rd house. So this is now inviting in a new beginning to happen because we're closing out all these old chapters, and Pluto's helping us get rid of old sort of ways of being and to sort of transform the people around us as well so that we can, reach new heights that we're wanting to reach. From the 18th till the 20th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars making a square over to Uranus. So Venus and Mars are in the sign of Aquarius, and then Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, which is affecting your 8th and 11th house. So this is the area where we're going to start realizing, this is the time of the month where we're starting to realize that we're needing to maybe make some shifts, some unexpected changes and shifts in order for us to sort of kind of let go of our old dissatisfactions and move into something more satisfying. We're probably going to realize that it's going to require some changes in our day-to-day life in order for us to move to a life that's more satisfying. So we can't just continue doing the same routines over and over and over again, kind of expecting a different outcome or expecting us to be in a different mindset. I think what you're going to realize around the mid to end of March is we need to make some actual changes to our schedule and routine. We're going to need to make some physical changes to our life in order to sort of welcome in new energy, to sort of get into alignment with where we really want to go. And so we're healing lots of old things. Lots of cancers are finally getting out of their sort of old mentality that they used to have for the past couple of years, because I've noticed with a lot of the transits that we've had, a lot of cancers have maybe had some sort of mentality issues come up where they're noticing maybe they're in a more negative mindset, maybe dealing with old emotions that are bubbling up that are maybe bothering them. But that's finally closing out for a lot of Cancers, and we're finally moving into more like a focus on our friendships, the relationships in our life, and we're more focused on, okay, how can we create this transformation? How can we become our best versions of ourselves by, you know, creating a new way of being, and how to figure out how to be in this, you know, change that we're all going through. How can I change my life so that I can continue expanding regardless of what's happening externally? So a lot of Cancers are realizing this and taking their power back and realizing, okay, I actually have the power to make the most of whatever time I'm given. And that's actually a quote from like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. It's like, sometimes we don't get to choose the time that we're given, but all we can do is make the best of the time that we're given. It's something like that. And that's a very powerful quote, because I think that's what a lot of us, I mean, a lot of people in general are going through that, but also Cancers in general are getting hit hard with that for the most part. Is sort of like, there's a lot happening externally in the world, and we have to learn how to adjust ourselves to make the most of that regardless of what's happening. How can we expand regardless of that? How can we reach our biggest goals and dreams regardless of that? You know, it's kind of realizing that we have to take our power back rather than being like, oh, I can't help it. There's like so much going on in the world, which I totally understand why a lot of us can like feel that way. But once we take our power back and we realize, oh, hey, I'm in charge of my life and I can make the most of whatever time I am given, regardless of the circumstances. How can I make the most? You know, and we have to think outside of the box a little bit. How can we make the most of it regardless of what's happening? How can we make the best time of it with the time that I am given, with the time that I do have, with the resources I do have? How can we make the most of it with that? So that's going to be one of the biggest realizations that's sort of happening, and finally getting into that really positive mindset and realizing that you have that power, you have that ability, and we're finally letting go of the mental struggle that was maybe happening over the past couple years. Finally, that mental struggle is really starting to fade, and we're addressing where certain things are stemming from and realizing that we have the power to kind of step out of that and create more regardless of that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and shuffle some of these tarot cards to get any last info on the month of March for my beautiful Cancers. So let's see, Cancer, what does Spirit have to say for Cancer? Ooh, okay, so we have the Devil being reversed with the Four of Cups. So these are the two cards that we have regarding your month of March. So the Devil being reversed is unchaining yourself. So finally, Cancers, you are unchaining yourself from an illusion that we were stuck in, because the Devil is the ruler of illusions. The Devil is also Capricorn. We have a lot of planets in Capricorn that are finally moving into Aquarius, like Venus and Mars. So this is the ending to your Capricorn. Capricorn is the opposing sign of Venus. So anytime that something's in Capricorn, it is opposing Cancer, which can be a little bit of a difficult transit, right? So this is also signifying the closing of some of the Capricorn transits that were happening. And this is unchaining yourself from an illusion. So Capricorn is restriction. So if you felt like you were restricted or you couldn't do something because there were certain limitations or restrictions that were out of your control, there were certain boundaries that were out of your control, those are beginning to fade away, or you're actually just beginning to take your power back and realize that there's opportunities that exist outside of your current perspective, because that's what the Four of Cups talks about. So the Four of Cups is basically what it's originally depicted as, is a man looking over at three cups in front of him that he's dissatisfied with. So he's dissatisfied with his current circumstances. So if you've been relating to that sort of feeling for the past little bit, and you kind of, you know, have felt that way recently, that we were dissatisfied with kind of like, you know, what's been going on, the things that seem outside of our control, the Four of Cups is this beautiful realization that if you took a moment to stop focusing on what's outside of your control, if you take a moment to stop focusing on what you're dissatisfied with and then look over your shoulder, you would realize that there's a cup being handed to you from the universe, which is something that you've been asking for, something that you've been wanting, exists right behind you. But that signifies, what the card signifies is this shift in perspective. So if our perspective is constantly focused on what we do not want, and that's what we're constantly bringing our energy towards, that's what we're constantly bringing our entire awareness towards, If you shifted your awareness for even a moment to look at potential, possibility, to look at fun, you would then begin to get closer and closer to seeing this beautiful hand, this beautiful opportunity, this beautiful solution that is existing right outside of your problem. And so that's what this sort of signifies, right? And so this is a shift in perspective and what this is saying for your month of March, because this is a beautiful little combination that we have for the month of March. And it's saying that in the month of March, you are going to be unchaining yourself from the illusion, from your awareness being only focused on this small, well, maybe big aspect, but you know, your awareness being focused on that of what you do not want, that of what is dissatisfying to you. In the month of March, you're going to be shifting your awareness from that towards opportunity, towards something new coming into your life. And the more you begin to shift your awareness away from what you're dissatisfied with and more towards what you do desire, you're going to be looking over your shoulder in the opposite direction. And what exists down this path is that of opportunity and that of goodness, because it's like a two-way street. When we're focused on what we don't want, we're looking at that direction. That's all we see. What we want exists on the other side. We need to bring our awareness there to even see the pathway towards what we want, to see how can we get what we want regardless of the circumstance, because when we're focused on the problem, we don't see that, because we don't see that path. Our awareness is very singular focused. We can't see all the way around us. We don't have eyes on the back of our head, right? So basically what this all signifies is this shift in awareness. And the month of March is this shift in awareness for my lovely Cancers. And the more you begin to shift that, the more you're going to begin to see all of the opportunities that could bring you so much fun, so much joy, and so much amazingness into your life. So that's basically what we have here for my lovely Cancers. I hope you enjoyed this little horoscope reading that we have for you. If you did, again, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Be sure to check out your other sun, moon, and rising signs if you have not already. Again, there are timestamps for that link down below. And hopefully I see you in my next video. Bye. All right, so Leo, welcome to your part of the March little horoscope that we have going on over here. So we start off the month of March with the Sun sextile Uranus on March 1st. The Sun is going to be in Pisces in your 8th house, and then Uranus is in the sign of Taurus in your 10th house. The sextile between this, when the Sun is in your 8th house in the sign of Pisces, this is causing some really deep transformation within, and when it's making a sextile over to the planet of Uranus in your 10th house, this can cause some like new career opportunities popping up for you, new opportunities regarding big goals that you want to reach. This could even be an increase in the amount that you're getting paid in some way, or some unexpected income flowing in, or just some new levels that you desire to reach within because of some internal self-transformation that you're going to be going through in the month of March. We're also going to have a new moon in Pisces on the 2nd of the month, and of course that's also in Pisces in your 8th house, which is causing some real internal transformation where you are going to begin to let go of your past more than you ever have before, and you're really going to start to open up a new chapter of your life. So this is really closing out old belief systems that have held you back. This is starting to close out old chapters that maybe we're still hanging on to, and now it's finally the time to really like close that out and go through kind of a deep metamorphosis where I think you are changing. You're kind of realizing like some certain things in the past aren't really going to happen the way that they used to, and it's time for some deep transformation to transform and figure out what is it that you really want out of life. This could be closing old chapters in career. This could be closing old chapters even in relationships and things like that, which we'll get into in a little bit. But also from the 1st till the 12th of the month, Venus and Mars are going to be conjunct in your 6th house in the sign of Capricorn. And this is going to cause some real motivation around your routine to maybe change up your routine. The month of March, you might notice some certain things coming up in your life that cause you to change up your routine, especially as these make a trine over to Uranus, which causes some unexpected shifts and changes. So you're going to notice some unexpected shifts and changes and also deliberate ones in regards to you desiring to maybe have a new routine, and also going through some major healing as well, because the 6th house is also healing, where we're starting to focus maybe a little bit more on our health, and we're wanting to really improve our health. Maybe there's certain things that we're noticing like, hey, my body's not feeling the same as it kind of used to, so maybe I need to look into what I'm eating or my exercise habits and things like that to kind of figure out what you need to now strive towards, the new goals that you're going to have regarding your routine, because maybe we need to focus on getting more sleep. Maybe we need to focus on, you know, better healthy habits that can allow us to feel at our best. Also, those two planets, Venus and Mars, are going to make a conjunction with Pluto as well, which has also been in your 6th house for the past little while. Pluto being in the 6th house has been causing you to maybe unearth a lot of, you know, things that are not really serving us anymore, because Pluto is basically the planet that helps us realize what is no longer serving us and helps us kind of unearth those things so that we can transform them, because Pluto is all about transformation. So the conjunction that they're going to be making with Venus and Mars is going to cause you to realize that maybe you're desiring to transform something in your career. Maybe you're deciding that you desire to transform something regarding the amount of money that you make or the routine that you have, or again, healing deep parts of yourself as well. Because I think that another thing you're going to notice is maybe there's parts of yourself that you want to heal and you want to become better. And through becoming better, you are going to heal lots of different other aspects of yourself. And that's all happening in the beginning of March. And maybe you're even feeling a little bit of that energy already. Also in the beginning of the month, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Jupiter in the sign of Pisces in your 8th house. This is going to cause you to finally expand. This is the sort of transit that I would describe as the butterfly coming out of its cocoon, because Jupiter is all about expansion, and then the 8th house is all about that cocoon stage and sort of that deep transformation. And so Jupiter being in here is finally like you spreading your wings, and with the Sun coming up and conjuncting it, you know, in the beginning of March, I think this is going to cause some internal expansion where you're finally ready to spread your wings. You might be really finally ready to jump into something that you've always been kind of dreaming of, or maybe you've been dreaming of for the past little bit. I think you're finally going to get the confidence to kind of like take that leap of faith and to kind of expand into this new self that you've been transforming into. Also, on the 6th of the month, we are going to have Venus and Mars together on the same day move into the sign of Aquarius. They've been in Capricorn for the past little bit, and now they're going to be moving together into the sign of Aquarius on the same day. So it's a pretty, you know, big sort of transformation, and these two planets are going to be entering your 7th house. And this is kind of where relationships kind of come into the play, because the 7th house is all about our relationships. With Venus moving over here, it's going to cause maybe a lot more harmony within relationships. But with Mars, we're finally kind of seeing certain aspects within our relationships that maybe we need to confront, you know, because maybe there's certain things that we've been noticing. There's maybe a little bit of friction within some relationships that we have, and we're thinking, you know what, I really want to finally clear this out and come back to balance. And maybe we're realizing that we need to change up a few things or renew our viewpoints of relationships, because they're moving into the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is the ruler of your 7th house, being a Leo or Leo rising. So with these aspects, we're going to kind of begin to see what we need to shift around in regards to our belief systems around relationships. And we're sort of, you know, birthing into a new time when it comes to our relationships, and realizing that there's certain things that we need to sort of kind of like tweak in order to find our balance again. But it's all going to work out very beautifully with Venus being there as well. It's going to cause a lot of harmony to be kind of restored in those areas. Then from the 12th to the 14th of the month, we're going to have Sun conjunct Neptune in the 8th house. This is going to unearth new deep desires that you've had within, and kind of realizing like, hey, this is what my new fantasy is. So I think as you go through all these other transformations, I think that you are going to begin to step into having bigger dreams than you had before. And I think old dreams that you had, that you thought you've had for a long time, I think those are going to be transforming as well. And you're going to kind of realize that those have been developing as you've been maturing. Your dreams and desires have also been maturing and developing as well. And you might realize that you have new dreams and desires based on the path that you're on right now. And those have been developing along with you, and those are going to transform a little bit. We're also going to have a full moon in Virgo on the 18th of the month, which is going to be in your 2nd house. This is going to cause you to finally get rid of all of the old routines that were no longer serving you. I think you as Leo are just really beginning to focus on your health and really beginning to kind of see the things that you need to alter, and sort of unearthing these new desires that are stemming from this new place that you're in, right? Because maybe we didn't expect to be here a few years ago when we had our previous dreams and goals, but now we're in a completely new place that we didn't even expect to be in. And in this new place, we've been maturing, and now we have new dreams and desires to go and chase. And we're sort of realizing, okay, what do I need to alter and change in order to kind of fit these new desires? From the 18th to the 20th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars making a square over to Uranus. That's going to be taking place in your 7th house and your 10th house. So in this area, we might be realizing that certain unexpected shifts with career might be causing some friction within our relationships, or maybe we're noticing that certain relationships and partnerships are getting affected by some of the new dreams that we have or some of the new opportunities that are coming up. So this is going to be something that we are needing to face, but I don't think that this is going to cause too much chaos or anything. It does look like it's a very quick transit. It's only lasting 2 to 3 days, so it's going to be sorted out, I think, quite quickly, especially since we have a lot of other very positive transits happening throughout the month. Then at the end of the month, from the 28th till the 29th, we're going to have Venus conjunct Saturn in your 7th house. So this is asking you, okay, what do you really want to commit to within your relationships? So Leo, if you have important people in your life, what are we committing to? And which direction are we going to go in? Because maybe there's multiple directions here that we can go in within our relationships, within our personal life, within our career, and how it's all kind of affecting each other. And maybe we're going to have to decide, okay, what do I want to commit to, and what boundaries am I going to need to put up within my relationships? So maybe there's certain boundaries that we need to fully set because maybe we didn't set them before, and we're realizing like it's going to be kind of important to set certain boundaries within relationships. And it's also going to be important to decide what you're willing to commit to and what your vision is within your long-term relationships. This is also a commitment to self-love as well, and how you view that growing as well. Like, yeah, just self-love, love in general, committing to certain things, and putting up certain boundaries. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and shuffle these tarot cards, and we're going to see if we can get any more information upon your month of March. There's literally like half the deck just came spilling out. So clearly there's a lot of energy for Leos, but we're going to try to shuffle that again to kind of narrow that down a little bit. So Leos, what else do we have going on for Leos in the month of March? We have the 7 of Swords, so maybe there's certain things that we've been avoiding or putting on the back burner, certain feelings that maybe we've been putting on the back burner that we've been tiptoeing around with, or maybe, you know, we've been avoidant of something. Maybe we've been sort of like noticing there's a certain feeling coming up, and we've been sort of just like, I'm just going to kind of ignore it for now and see how it progresses. The month of March is finally like, no, we're going to need to fully address our feelings. We're going to need to fully address certain things that have been popping up here and there, because it's going to be important to finally look at those and address those within the month of March so that we can continue moving forward, and that so that we don't need to tiptoe around things anymore, because life is not fun when we're tiptoeing around stuff, you know? And so the 7 of Swords is basically talking about the fact that we're going to need to do some confrontations, or maybe we're going to need to really start to face our own internal feelings and kind of address those so that those can come to light, we can heal them, and all that good stuff. So that is what we have for you for the month of March, my beautiful Leos. It looks like it's going to be a transformative month with a lot of new opportunities coming in, and lots of shedding the old, stepping into the new, which I think a lot of people are doing based on the transits that we're having. So basically all the signs are going through some types of transformations based on the kind of aspects and transits that we have, but these are how it is particularly affecting you. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos like this in the future, because I'd love to see you there, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Bye! Alright, so Virgo, welcome to your part of the horoscope for the month of March. So we start off March with a sextile between the Sun and Uranus, which is in your 7th and 9th house in the sign of Pisces and Taurus. So basically this sextile, the Sun represents kind of like our soul, what's being illuminated in that moment, and making a sextile over to Uranus, which has been transiting your 9th house. Uranus, when it transits the 9th house, causes a lot of changes within our belief systems, a lot of changes within our freedom, and so it's been here for the past couple of years. And with this sextile, with the Sun being in Pisces in your 7th house, this is sort of our beliefs around relationships and freedom within our relationships, and what we desire to do, and are we feeling maybe restricted by certain relationships in our lives? Like, are our parents, partners, or friends, or close business relationships, business partnerships, careers, are they getting in the way of our freedom? Are they making us feel like we cannot sort of expand into what we desire? Because the ninth house is all about expanding into what we desire, right? And with Uranus being in there, it's been causing a lot of changes around your belief systems, around your freedom and things like that. With the sextile over to the sun, this is causing you to sort of realize like, maybe I want to expand in new ways. Maybe I want to enjoy a little bit more freedom and things like that. So that's how we start off the month. And then we also have a new moon in Pisces in your 7th house. So this is sort of a new kind of like refreshing beginning within our relationships. And so the new moon is causing sort of a new phase to come about. And since this is going to be affecting your 7th house, this is sort of beginning a new phase, new wants and desires and dreams within our relationships, because it's bringing out new wants, desires, and dreams because it's in the sign of Pisces. But one thing to look out for the sign of Pisces is it tends to wear rose-colored glasses. So it tends to even see the negative parts as good things sometimes, even when they might not be. And so this is about really taking a step back and taking an honest look at what do we really desire in our life, and are we denying some of the maybe red flags that we are seeing. So it's time to take a real honest step back and ask ourselves, okay, what do we really, really want? What do we really want? And is our life in alignment with that? And are there certain red flags that we need to kind of look out for? But the new moon is really offering this new sort of energy that we're walking into in regards to our relationships and maybe our place within our relationships. And maybe we're kind of just beginning a new phase. We're feeling a little bit new and fresh ourselves. And there's a new focus and a new sort of dynamic that we're having within certain relationships. We're also going to have Venus and Mars conjunct in the sign of Capricorn, which is in your 5th house. So this is a desire for more freedom. And when Mars is sort of transiting an area, it's helping us sort of realize maybe where we have tension or areas that we need to improve on. Maybe we're feeling like our freedom and our fun needs to be improved a little bit because maybe we've been feeling a little bit restricted in the areas of freedom and fun. So with this transit, this is going to help you sort of see those areas that you maybe want to transform and take action on. And maybe we're going to take action for like, hey, I need more freedom, so I really need to start doing this. Or hey, I need to have a little bit more fun in my life, so I need to start taking action towards that. And with its conjunction over to Venus, this is also going to be affecting your relationships. This is also affecting sort of just your perspective on the world. But it adds also like a goodness towards this area. So it's finally realizing, what do I really want? What is fun for me? How do I experience freedom? And it's this desire to sort of bring in a little bit more of that into your life. Also, from the 3rd till the 4th, those two planets, Venus and Mars, are going to be making a conjunction over to the planet of Pluto, which has also been in your 5th house for the past little bit. And Pluto is the beautiful planet of transformation. So I think with these 3 planets being conjunct in the beginning of March, there's going to be a lot of realizations on what you really desire, the real freedoms that you want, and what fun really looks like to you. And it's finally starting to take action in these areas. And Venus is allowing us to bring in those fun routines. Venus is allowing us to sort of have a little bit more expression and a little bit more flow in these areas, while Mars is helping us take action on these things. And Pluto's helping sort of transform and help us sort of, end our old habits that are no longer serving us, end the old parts of ourselves that were no longer serving us and maybe keeping us stuck and far away from certain desires that we've had. So this is really helping those transformations come about. And then we're also going to have the Sun conjunct Jupiter in your 7th house in the sign of Pisces. And this is going to allow a lot more expansion within your relationships, because Jupiter brings a lot of good luck and good fortune. And since it is going to be transiting your 7th house and has been for a little bit, but the Sun is now going to come and conjunct the sign or the planet of Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. And this is going to allow for more expansion, especially in maybe what you're dreaming your future to look like within certain partnerships in your life. So what do you really desire that future to look like? What's it going to be? There's also going to be the Sun conjunct Neptune in the sign of Pisces in your 7th house as well, from the 12th to the 14th of the month. And this is going to really help sort of allow you to dream up what you really want those areas of your life to look like. Because I think relationships are getting a little bit highlighted for Virgos in the month of March. And so it's time to start really looking at, your close relationships, whether that's a business partnership, friendship, romantic partnership, sometimes even family members too. And what do we really want those to look like? Maybe we're realizing that there's new dreams or that we need some more expansion in this area, right? But since it's in the sign of Pisces, it's really important to look out for, are we overlooking certain red flags that are going to be a hindrance in our future? So that's something to look out for, but it is also a beautiful time of imagining the best case scenario, because Pisces is also the beautiful sign of dreaming. But just one aspect to look out for is sometimes Pisces tends to make everything look dreamy and nice when sometimes there's a little bit of red flags there. So it's just important to look at those things, but also it is a great time of expansion and sort of realizing what we really want in our life and what that's going to really look like. Also, on the 6th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars move into the sign of Aquarius. They're moving together on the same day into the sign of Aquarius from the sign of Capricorn. And this is going to be where they enter your 6th house. And this is sort of adding an emphasis on your work life. So is there certain hindrances or things that you desire to transform or change in your work life or within your routine, your daily routine as well? Or is there even certain aspects of yourself that you desire to heal and release and heal from? So what are these things that we desire to heal from? What are these new routines that we're desiring? And also in terms of our career, is there certain things that maybe we desire to transform in a new way so that we can allow for more freedom and more healing in other aspects of our lives? Because we're kind of really realizing where we have certain restrictions and where we need to place better boundaries, and also where we need to place more ability to allow ourselves to have fun and rejuvenate, so we're not just constantly burning ourselves out. Because Virgo, you like to be a perfectionist. You have tons of energy when it comes to dedicating yourself to something or putting in the work that you need to put in, and making things really come out perfect. But here we're realizing that maybe we need to add a little bit more fun back into our lives. Maybe we need to get rid of some of our restrictions so we can bring back a little bit more of the creativity and a little bit more of the fun and the freedom to our lives as well. We're also going to be having a full moon in Virgo on the 18th of the month, and this is going to be, of course, affecting your first house since you are a Virgo. And this is the shedding of the old self. This is closing out an old chapter for you. So pretty much every March we're going to have a full moon in Virgo, or sometimes it's in February as well, depending on the month. But whenever the sun is in the sign of Pisces, we will have a full moon in Virgo, basically, when the moon is in the right position. So around this time of year, this is a great time for Virgo stepping into your new self. This is a great time for all Virgos to sort of shed their old skin and start to think about what aspects of themselves do they want to now get rid of, or what aspects in their lives are no longer serving them. So it's time to really look at your life and ask, okay, what's no longer serving me? Because the full moon in Virgo offers this new sense of self to come through, and also for you to sort of break free into a new self. Also, on the 18th till the 20th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars make a square over to the planet of Uranus. This is going to be affecting your 6th and 9th house. So here's when we're going to be realizing maybe where we have certain restrictions when it comes to our work, our freedom, our routine, and our belief systems that maybe stand in the way of us having our full freedom that we desire. So it's finally time for us to look at the certain aspects of our lives that are causing resistance around us to be able to have more fun, and us to be able to heal, and us to step into the belief system that we really desire to be, for us to have more freedom. So now we're going to finally be sort of realizing what we need to transform in our life in order to gain more freedom back, in order for us to be able to focus on more fun, and also for us to move in the career directions that we desire. So there's going to be a lot of healing around those areas. Also, at the very end of the month, from the 28th till the 29th, we're going to have Venus conjunct Saturn. This is going to be happening in your 6th house, so this is finally time for you to commit to bigger goals within your career, and also time for you to commit to a career that you really love. I think a lot of Virgos are going to be realizing that maybe they desire to have certain boundaries, or maybe they desire to finally say yes to something that they've been really wanting to do for a long time. This could be saying yes to a work project and really committing yourself to it, having certain boundaries in your work that allow you more freedom to have fun, because oddly, sometimes boundaries can allow us more freedom. if we place them correctly, right? So if we have more boundaries when it comes to work, like for example, if we work from home, maybe we need boundaries of I'm only going to work from this time till this time. I'm only going to ever work from my office. And this way you're going to allow more freedom for you to feel like you do not have to work during not work hours, for example, right? So sometimes having boundaries in the proper places allow us to have more freedom. And that's what this Venus conjunct Saturn in the 6th house in the sign of Aquarius is going to be for you. Because the sign of Aquarius shows that there's things that maybe we need to think outside of the box. Maybe we need to, you know, implement things that are a little bit out of our ordinary in order to allow us to have a little bit more freedom in our lives so that we don't have as much restriction and that we can kind of move towards a life that we really want and a life that we love. So you're in the midst of creating that and sort of realizing what needs to go and what needs to shift and change in order to welcome in this new you, in order to welcome in more freedom and more fun into your life. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and shuffle the tarot cards to get any last info on your month of March. So Virgo, we have the Queen of Cups. So it's time to listen to your emotions. What do you really desire? You have certain emotions that are coming up and it's time to not repress them. It's time to really look at them for what they are. So what sort of feelings have you been having coming up lately? Have they been, you know, certain things that we need to heal from? Have they been emotions that are calling us in a new direction, that are flowing us to a new direction that maybe we need to listen to and not put off on the back burner or not ignore, right? So our emotions, our intuition, your intuition is going to be very high. So it's time to start listening. Okay, like what is my intuition telling me? Maybe even keep a little journal where you can write that down so that you can reference it when you're feeling other emotions and you can sort of begin piecing together certain things as well. So I also want to mention that you might even get dreams around certain people in your life, especially around the middle of March, just because we're going to have Sun conjunct Neptune in the sign of Pisces in your 7th house. This can be when we start dreaming of random people from our past. This can be when we're starting to have dreams about current people in our life, and maybe we even have certain dreams that have a lot of symbolism in them that are going to be telling us and revealing a lot of things around those relationships. So it might even be good to keep a dream journal, and even if you can't remember all of your dreams, even just remembering something like a little feeling when you wake up or something like that and being able to write it down in your phone or in a notebook or whatever you have available to you can be very helpful, because it can kind of maybe piece together some of the story about what's going on, and we can become more aware of our subconscious and things like that. So that is what I recommend for the month of March. Looks like things are getting sorted out and that we are having good breakthroughs and things like that. So hope you enjoyed today's video, my lovely Virgos. Don't forget to check out your other sun, moon, or rising signs in this video so that you can get an all-encompassing view of your month of March. And hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. All right, so my Libras, let's talk about your month of March. So we start off the month of March with the Sun sextile Uranus, which is in your 6th and 8th house. The Sun is in the sign of Pisces and Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. So this is going to be some new transformation around your routine, since there's this sextile between the Sun and Uranus. The 6th house is all about routine. It is also about healing. The 8th house is about some deep transformation, and Uranus is about unexpected change. So this is some unexpected change in regards to your routine. This is some unexpected change in regards to maybe a little bit about career aspects or even some deep healing for you. So this could also be some deep transformation around like our health as well, because the 6th house is also about health. So this could be illuminating certain things for you, certain realizations that we're having around our health, and that Uranus is helping us kind of bring up new unexpected realizations here that are going to help us sort of heal. It's a very positive aspect with the Sun. It's illuminating, it's helping us understand these certain areas, and also helping us bring about new opportunities to transform these areas into something better. So new routines, new health realizations, kind of like finally realizing some deeper stuff here. And then we're also going to have a new moon in the sign of Pisces, which is your 6th house as well. So this is, I think because of these realizations that we're having in the very beginning of the month, this new moon is going to help us sort of realize that, hey, I want kind of a new phase here. Being in the sign of Pisces, this is some deep realizations, here, and being in the 6th house is sort of this new idea that we want some new routines, a new health focus. So realizing maybe that we want to take our health a little bit more seriously and things like that. And this new moon is just helping us kind of step into this new phase and imagine kind of new ways of going about life and wanting to implement some new ideas here. So this is going to really help that. The new moon in Pisces can also cause us to have really deep sort of dreams. So I always recommend anytime that we have some major Pisces aspects or even Neptune aspects, which we have a little bit, it is you know, kind of important to look at your dreams during the month because you might get some deep intuitions and things like that. I personally keep a dream journal. You can even whip out your phone in the morning and just write down any little thing that you remember from your dreams, if you remember anything at all, because it can be pretty helpful in looking at symbolism and things like that. We are also going to have Venus conjunct Mars in the sign of Capricorn, which is in your 4th house. So this is going to cause certain aspects around your home life that need to be sort of tweaked and addressed, because Venus and Mars conjunct, these are two really great planets when they are conjunct, but they can also cause some transformation. Just like Mars sort of helps us realize maybe certain areas that need to be tweaked or certain areas that we're not fully satisfied with, that maybe we're desiring to take action on in order to make them more satisfying, especially since it's conjunct Venus. So we're wanting to add more harmony, we're wanting to make things more beautiful, we're wanting to go in a more positive direction. And Mars is really helping us take action towards that. And these two planets being in your 4th house, there's going to be this desire to make your home life more pleasing, more comfortable. There's certain aspects that we're desiring to tweak around our home life so that we can make it more comfortable and we can make it more feeling good, more in harmony, you know, and wanting to take action towards that. We're also going to have those two planets make a conjunction with Pluto from the 3rd until the 4th of the month of March, and that's also going to be in your 4th house, of course. Those are all going to be conjunct in the sign of Capricorn in your 4th house, and Pluto's been here for a little while now, causing you to realize and unearth, you know, certain things that need to be transformed in your home life, certain things that have not been working out. And so even for the past couple of years now, you've been realizing that there's certain restrictions around your home life that maybe you're desiring to transform and change. And we're realizing that, hey, we need to kind of like break out of this. We're needing to transform certain things because certain stuff ain't working anymore. So this is going to really help you begin to harmonize your home life and really begin to focus on what needs to be transformed and changed in order to make things more harmonious and better for us. So that is going to be happening there. Then we are also going to have the Sun conjunct Jupiter from the 4th until the 6th of the month in Pisces in your 6th house. And so what this is causing is some more expansion within your career, more expansion within your health. I think that a lot of Libras are going to be, you know, feeling a lot better in the beginning of the month of March and just feeling like they're expanding. Their health is kind of like, you know, they're making realizations and changes and things like that, changes to your routine that are going to help you feel more energized and more healthy and more in balance. And it's going to help you feel more healed as well. So it's adding a bit more of a healing aspect to a lot of Libras. Then we are going to also have Venus and Mars on the 6th of the month move into the sign of Aquarius. They're moving on the same day together towards the sign of Aquarius. They're moving from Capricorn to Aquarius, and this is going to be when they enter your 5th house. So now it's like all of our home stuff is finally getting sorted out. We're feeling like things are a little bit more in balance. We don't feel so topsy-turvy and like we need to tweak stuff so much anymore. Now it kind of feels like that stuff is sort of getting, you know, more in harmony. And now our focus is going to be around our dating life, around our children if we have any, because that's also the 5th house. So if you do have children, that's going to be affected by this. And this is also the area where we find fun and pleasure and other joys in life. So with these two planets moving over here in the sign of Aquarius, we're maybe realizing like, hey, I want to start to experience more pleasure in my life. I want to start enjoying life more. And maybe we're realizing that we need to add some tweaks over here in order to begin to enjoy life some more, in order to add a little bit more zest. So there's going to be new ways of having fun, maybe some new ways of dating and enjoyment over there, or maybe even new ways or boundaries or routines that we have with our children that allow us to have more fun and more enjoyment around our home life in that aspect. So that is going to be coming through. And then from the 12th until the 14th of the month, so in the middle of March, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Neptune, which is going to be in your 6th house. And this is going to unlock more creativity, more deeper dreams, deeper desires. And this is also going to be another important time to write down your dreams and focus on your dreams, because I think your dreams are going to be kind of inviting in new creativity and maybe even new ideas around, how we can improve our lives and the new dreams that we can aspire towards and things like that. Also on the 18th of the month, we're going to have a full moon in Virgo, and that's going to be in your 12th house. So this is going to be shedding. The full moon is where we shed the old. In the sign of Virgo being in your 12th house, this is going to be maybe shedding old restrictions that you've had on yourself, the need to be perfect. So maybe we've had certain needs internally, like I need to be perfect, I'm not perfect enough, and I have this and I have that. And, maybe we've been a little bit too self-critical, and this is going to help us sort of close out some of those chapters so that we can step into something that's more freeing and we feel more free and we don't feel like super restricted. Maybe we're letting go of certain, perfectionism habits, or we're even letting go of like certain control that we've needed. And we're just allowing for more freedom and more abundance here, and more freedom in terms of, just allowing yourself to be healthy and be you and be fun, and not feeling like we have to be in a restrictive regimen with ourselves, but we can also just enjoy, right? So there's always a balance. And then from the 18th until the 20th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars make a square over to the planet of Uranus. This is going to be in the 5th and 8th house. So now we're going to be transforming and realizing that there's certain things that we might need to transform within our dating life. Maybe there's certain things that we need to transform and unexpectedly transform within our dating life, our pleasure life, our children, things like that. Maybe we're needing to create certain transformations so that we can make the best of our lives. Maybe we need certain new schedules or routines to kind of take place in order for us to feel like we have more freedom and more ability to experience the pleasure in our lives. So there's certain things that need to be adjusted, and we're finally realizing that. So I think from the 18th until the 20th of the month, we're going to be realizing what areas of our life need to be maybe adjusted or addressed, where we need to have, better boundaries, or we're needing to implement new systems that we haven't implemented before in order for us to find harmony in these areas. Then at the end of the month, from the 28th until the 29th, we're going to have Venus conjunct Saturn in your 5th house. So this is finally a commitment to you finding your pleasure. How do you enjoy life? What do you enjoy in life? So this is a new commitment towards your relationships, your fun, your dating, your pleasure, your children, and a determination towards creating a more fun, joyful life. One that you enjoy living, not one that you feel like we have to constantly struggle for, or one that we have to, constantly battle to have fun and things like that. It's like we're really starting to focus on how can I create a harmonious life that I love, that I don't need to run away from? How can I create a life that I love? So that is what is happening in the month of March for Libras. Lots of transformation around home, around, having fun and things like that. So now we're going to get a tarot card to help give us maybe a little bit last information here from Spirit. So for Libra, for the month of March, what does Spirit have to say? We have 2 cards that came out. All right, so we have the 5 of Wands and the Empress. So with these 2 cards coming up, there is certain things that we definitely need to address, certain things that are maybe out of harmony. Maybe we're needing to have certain confrontations. Maybe we're needing to set some proper boundaries, or have some deep discussions with certain people in our lives, or maybe even start to battle maybe a little bit within our own selves and battle through our own restrictive belief systems, so that we can step into caring for ourselves more, so that we can step into rejuvenation, self-rejuvenation a little bit more, and we don't feel like, we're being controlled by other people, or we don't feel like, we need to constantly oppose certain aspects of our lives in order to care for ourselves, in order to have fun. Now we're finally realizing that maybe we just need to step up to the plate, set certain boundaries so that we can, start to enjoy ourselves and start to enjoy our life and be able to have fun and things like that. So that is what we have here for you for the month of March, my beautiful Libras. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to check out your other sun, moon, and rising signs to get an over-encompassing full view of your month of March in order to get the most accurate prediction for you. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my others, and hope you have a great March. Bye. Hello Scorpio, and welcome to your part of the March horoscope. So what we have for you, we start off the month with this beautiful sextile between Uranus and the Sun. The Sun is in your 5th house in the sign of Pisces, and Uranus is in Taurus in your 7th house, and it's been transiting there for a little bit. But when it's making this beautiful sextile over to the Sun, this is going to allow you to kind of enhance your current relationship. So there's going to be like maybe some unexpected good enhancements within the relationships that you feel very close to. I've noticed that Scorpios for the past little while have been going through this sort of like detox of old friendships and old relationships that just don't really like resonate with them anymore, and they've been kind of like cleaning out the closet when it comes to their friends. But when we start off March with this kind of like great sextile between the Sun and Uranus being in your 7th house, I think this is going to cause, some good unexpected shifts and changes that really enhance the relationships that mean the most to you. And on the 2nd of the month, we're going to have a new moon in Pisces in your 5th house. And this is going to really bring an emphasis on you starting to enjoy yourself. Like, what do you enjoy doing the most? This is a new you coming out. I think that you're realizing that you have new things that you enjoy, new interests that you enjoy. And I really think that you're starting to close out old things that you do not find enjoyable anymore, especially since we also have Venus and Mars that throughout the whole entire like first half of the month of March, they're going to be conjunct in the sign of Capricorn, which is in your 3rd house. This is helping you sort of sort through and realize what is kind of boring to you now. I think that you're realizing that there's certain things that maybe you used to like that are sort of just boring, or they seem a little bit mundane to you. And there's been this desire to find new interests that actually really ignite you and make you feel interested and curious. And I think you're getting curious about a lot of different things. I think you as Scorpio, like, you like to get deep. You enjoy things that are deep. You don't like surface level stuff. That stuff kind of bores you. And so I think what you've been moving towards is finding what really piques your curiosity. And I think that you are growing, you are shedding your old skin, you are finding new things that you're curious about, and just really starting to notice that the old stuff just doesn't resonate with you anymore. And I think that's another reason why there's certain people in your life that you no longer resonate with, and why you've been shedding old relationships, and now you're going to be enhancing other ones that are actually really close to you. We're also going to have Venus and Mars that are going to conjunct Pluto between the 3rd and the 4th of the month. And this is also happening in your 3rd house. And Pluto's been transiting your 3rd house for a while, which means that it's really beginning to cause an emphasis on your mentality. Maybe there's certain things mentally that we need to shed as well. There's certain belief systems that we're realizing that are coming up, and it's time to shed those. Certain belief systems that we used to have and that we're like, you know what? I've kind of really grown out of that, and I've grown past those things. And we're really starting to look at deeper stuff, bigger picture things. We're welcoming in new information. And I think that you as Scorpio are actually starting to get excited about learning new stuff and letting go of kind of like the old interests that we used to have. It's kind of like you've like really matured, and you're really starting to let go of this old past version of you. And maybe we're realizing that the old stuff we were interested in, it doesn't feel the same anymore. It doesn't hit the same spot as it used to. And so now we're getting curious, trying to find new exciting things that we are interested about. So now is a big time of shedding all of that kind of stuff. Also shedding our old mentalities, our old ways of being. I think that you probably look at your old self that was like a few years ago, and you're like, who was that? That's how I used to think. That's how I used to act. That's how I used to be. I really think that you're adopting like whole new senses of maturity, whole new senses of acting and being and things like that. So it's going to be just a big transformative month in the month of March for you. And I think that you've been kind of feeling this energy already. Also from the 4th till the 6th of the month, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Jupiter in your 5th house in the sign of Pisces. And this is going to allow you to expand into having more fun. But I think that the type of fun that you're having now is very different from the fun that you used to have. There's just a whole different, energy that's kind of going on how you have fun, and what you find is pleasurable for you now. The 5th house is all about our pleasure. It's also about children. So some Scorpios might even be thinking about expanding their family. Some Scorpios might be thinking about just how to expand enjoyment in general, how to have fun, how to have more pleasure in their life. This can also expand dating if you are single. It can also expand and enhance your current relationships if you're in a relationship as well, and just make them more fun and more enjoyable and exciting. Also, on the 6th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars move into the sign of Aquarius. So just together, they're moving into your 4th house in the sign of Aquarius. And this is going to kind of bring up maybe certain areas around home that you're wanting to adjust or change. And we're kind of starting to realize that maybe through all of these changes that we're making, that we're desiring to maybe have a little bit of a new foundational dynamic, a new dynamic around our home life, a new dynamic around our security and our base foundation, basically. This can also be bringing in new spending habits, and maybe we're starting to cause restriction in some areas and we're wanting to expand in other areas and things like that. So I think that this is, new spending habits, new dynamics around home life, all sorts of stuff like that. Then on the 12th to the 14th, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Neptune in the sign of Pisces in your 5th house. And this is going to be very daydreamy and very creative. This just brings out a sense of creativity, especially when it comes to your dating and romantic life. It's going to bring about creativity and new dreams and desires in regards to your creativity in general, or how you have fun, how you enjoy life, your pleasure of life. So I think you're going to start to realize that you have new desires that are beginning to come out. Then on the 18th of the month, we're going to have the full moon in Virgo. That's going to happen in your 11th house. And so this is going to be that we're becoming a little bit more picky with our friends, and we're closing out kind of a bit of an old chapter, and we're realizing, who are my real friends? And, I think that you're more picky with who you allow into your immediate circle and into your life. And this is also about wanting to have a deeper meaning in regards to your career or regards to your impact on the planet. Some of you may desire to have a deeper purpose. You might desire to be of service to others and really help uplift other people and things like that. But at the same time, when it comes to your close friend group, I think that you're becoming a lot more picky and closing out some of those old chapters that you used to have in your life, because it's just like you're up leveling, you're maturing, you're raising up to the next level. And then from the 18th until the 20th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars, which are transiting your 4th house. They're going to make a square over to the planet of Uranus, which is in your 7th house. So here, this is when we kind of realize that there might be some unexpected shifts in regards to our relationships and our foundation. So there could be changes with our home life and our relationships, or maybe we're noticing that we need to maybe implement new patterns because maybe our relationships are taking to the next level, or maybe we're noticing that, there's certain things that are standing in our way that we want to get to, new goals that we want to get to regarding our foundation, our home life, and our relationships. There might be new goals that you want to get to, but there might be certain obstacles standing in your way, certain limitations that we need to kind of get out of, certain new dynamics that we need to create in order for us to get to our next levels and in regards to our foundation and our relationships and our home life and things like that. So there's certain things that we need to sort out by the end of the month in order to have things kind of flow smoothly where we want them to go. I do think that will all get sorted out though. And then at the end of the month, we're going to have Venus conjunct Saturn between the 28th and 29th of the month, and that is going to be within your 4th house. And Venus conjunct Saturn, this is going to happen in the sign of Aquarius. So this is going to cause maybe like a new commitment in your home life, a new desire in your foundation, a new desire to maybe make your home life better and more stable, more trustworthy, more secure, kind of securing a future for yourself, securing where you want to plant yourself, because the 4th house is where you want to commit and plant to. So maybe we're kind of realizing like, hey, I need to actually really create a solid plan so I can get to where I want to go and I can really plant myself and sprout where I really want to be. So there could be some certain changes that you desire to make in your home life in order for you to kind of grow where you want to grow and kind of prosper where you desire to prosper. So that is what we have happening in the month of March for my lovely Scorpios. We're also going to pull maybe 1 or 2 tarot cards to just get any last information from Spirit. So let's see what we have for my beautiful Scorpios. We have the 6 of Cups. So some of you, there may be a return to the past, or sort of looking at your past and learning a lot from it and learning a lot of growth. This can also be when we gain unexpected gifts, or we hear from people from the past. And I know as you, Scorpio, you're trying to maybe close out some old past relationships and things like that. You might notice that some people from the past try to come back into your life, or maybe we're realizing like, hey, I'm observing my past and I'm realizing like, hey, it is really time to close that out and enter into a new chapter. I think a lot of Scorpios, there's a new chapter energy coming out. I mean, that's honestly coming out for a lot of the signs based on the transits that we're having. There's a lot of new chapter energy coming out for like pretty much every single sign. But for you, this is particularly within your friend groups and kind of like letting go of maybe your old self and stepping into a brand new sense of maturity, especially around your home life and your friendships and your relationships. So whole new phases happening there. Tarot cards again confirmed all of that sort of energy happening and the old stuff closing out and whatnot. So that is what we have for you, my beautiful Scorpios. I hope you enjoyed your month ahead for the month of March little horoscope that we have for you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Be sure to check out your other sun, moon, and rising signs if you have not already, in order to get a overall encompassing idea of what your month of March is going to hold for you. So hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Bye. All right, so my beautiful Sagittariuses, welcome to your part of the March little horoscope that we have going on. So we begin March with the sun making a sextile over to Uranus. The sun is transiting your 4th house in the sign of Pisces, and Uranus has been in your 6th house in the sign of Taurus for the past little while. So this is causing some unexpected maybe shifts or changes in your home life, also regarding maybe your routines a little bit. This is just changing up a whole bunch of different things. You might get new ideas around how to change up your home life, or how to maybe change up your usual schedule around work or routine and things like that, in order to better accommodate, you know, your home life and what you desire to strive for, the new foundation that you really want to have in your life. Because it looks like there's quite a bit happening in your 4th house over the next little bit, since we have all this Piscean stuff. And this is going to really cause you to make some changes around your home life and sort of maybe even inspire you to kind of create a new foundation for yourself. So this is all really good stuff. Also on the 2nd of March, we're going to have a new moon in Pisces, which is of course in your 4th house as well. New moons cause a new energy to come out. And so by the 2nd of March, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Sagittarians kind of maybe feel like renewing their home life or renewing their foundation in some way, having a new foundation to where we maybe are desiring to plant ourselves somewhere new, or to kind of, you know, yeah, just kind of like grow somewhere new. It's almost like a plant and we're just like repotting it somewhere else, you know. We desire to maybe grow bigger now, and we're desiring more expansion. And so there's sort of a new you coming out in the essence of our foundation and our home life. So there could be new desires around your home life, maybe to expand in certain ways, or to change things up, or to kind of just create a new environment for yourself, because the 4th house is also about kind of like your base environment that you're always in. So there's some desires to change things up around here. We're also going to have Venus and Mars that are going to be conjunct all the way from the beginning of March all the way until mid-March, until the 12th. And these are transiting through the sign of Capricorn, which is in your 2nd house. So this is going to be exploring new ways of making money, and kind of realizing that maybe we have certain limitations or frustrations when it comes to the current limitations that we have with our money. And so I think a lot of Sagittarians are going to be thinking about like, oh, how can I expand further, and how can I create more abundance for myself so that I'm no longer feeling, you know, some of the frustrations that maybe you're currently reaching. Because I think, you know, as Sagittarius, you have really big dreams. Anybody with, you know, some Sag in their chart, usually they have big dreams. They think outside the box. They want more freedom. They love freedom. And so anything that has a sort of limitation or boundary, Sagittarius is like, how can I extend that? How can I expand beyond that, right? The ruling planet is Jupiter, and Jupiter is the biggest planet that we have in our solar system. You know, it wants to expand. It wants to get to the biggest it can go. It wants to push the limits, right? And so what we're realizing here with Venus conjunct Mars transiting through your 2nd house in the sign of Capricorn, Capricorn is like, how can we strive to a new goal? And Capricorn is the sign of limitations, right? And so we're kind of realizing that maybe we feel like there's certain things that we really want to do, but maybe we need more funds in order to do that, and maybe we just want a little bit more financial freedom. And so with this transit, it's kind of going to be about you tweaking things and maybe thinking about new ways of expanding and making more money so that you no longer feel limited by it. Okay, so it looks like there's going to be some big moves around here. This can also be where we are making bigger purchases, buying new material things as well, with Venus being in your second house. So this can be when we're, you know, buying new things and whatnot. And then we're also going to have Venus and Mars make a conjunction over to the planet of Pluto from the 3rd until the 4th of March. And this is going to cause like sort of a desire to maybe renew certain material things that you have, or it's going to bring up certain discomforts that you have around materialism or around money and whatnot. It's going to bring up some of those maybe deeper ingrained limitations that we have in order for them to be healed. Pluto is a very great planet. It's been transiting your second house for a little while, which has been digging up, you know, deep-rooted ideas that maybe you have around money and abundance, or that you have around what you can have materially. And so right now it's kind of going to bring up those limitations in order for them to be healed. It's bringing up anything that no longer serves you. And also you're going to notice that maybe there's even certain material things that you currently own that no longer serve you. And in the month of March, it's kind of bringing all that up into our awareness so that we can sort of declutter and get rid of all of that. And so we can also be more comfortable as well. Because if you've been noticing that there's certain things that make you uncomfortable, if there's certain things or dreams and desires that you want to attain, but there's a limitation because of a fear of discomfort or a fear that, you know, that's like out of your comfort zone, those are going to be coming up and being tested in the month of March, that you need to get outside of your comfort zone. It is time for you to expand through getting rid of some of the old stuff, getting rid of some old ways of being and implementing new ways of being. And, you know, it's kind of like cleaning out a closet. You know, you have a certain energetic set point, and if we have a bunch of different, you know, gunk within that, you know, we've cluttered it all up just like a house. You know, maybe you have so much furniture that it's hard to like walk around your space. The only way that you can renew and, you know, get to a new level is cleaning it out. You know, just as when you do a renovation, you got to get rid of everything first, tear it all down so that you can bring in the new, so that you can renew it. And so that's what Pluto is like. It's that transformation. And so a lot of Sagittarians are going to be going through that sort of transformation where it's like, okay, it's time for us to get rid of a bunch of stuff. It's time for us to even get rid of some mental clutter that we have, some mental limitations, physical items and things like that, so that you can begin your renovation of your foundation, of your finances, of your comforts, of your material world, all sorts of things like that. And then on the 4th until the 6th of March, we're going to have the Sun make a conjunction over to Jupiter. And these are both in the sign of Pisces, which is of course in your 4th house. And so this is wanting to now expand your foundation. Jupiter being over here in your 4th house, it's time to expand your home life. It's time to expand your foundation. You might have been noticing that even for the past little bit now, for like almost a year, this has been sort of a theme for Sagittarius, is expanding home life. You know, maybe moving, maybe doing things around the home that make you feel more expansive and things like that, expanding your foundation, your sense of security and whatnot, all things like that. And then, so that's basically what that's going to bring. And then we also have on the 6th of the month, Venus and Mars are going to be moving into the sign of Aquarius on the same day, practically at the exact same time. They are both moving together into the sign of Aquarius, which is really unique and really fun. And that's going to be going into your 3rd house. So we're kind of figuring out the frustrations that we have with our comforts, our limitations around money and whatnot. And now these two planets are going to be moving into your 3rd house. And so in the 3rd house, this is going to start to bring about, maybe we're realizing that old things that used to interest us, old goals that we used to have that we wanted to reach, we've reached those. And now it's time for us to maybe renew and think a little bit bigger and think a little bit more outside of the box. And I think that you're also realizing that you are maturing, and the things that used to interest you just don't feel like they resonate with you anymore. I think you are up-leveling yourself. You are reaching a new sense of maturity within you, and there's going to be new interests that come about, and we're going to start to kind of be frustrated with certain other old interests that we have that maybe we just need to slowly let go of and reintroduce new interests. Then also from the 12th to the 14th of the month, so in the middle of March, we're also going to have the Sun conjunct Neptune, which is also in the sign of Pisces, which is in your 4th house. And Neptune is all about fantasy and our dreams, our creativity. It's also about the media as well. So maybe there's certain things that you are going to get really creative with in the middle of March. And maybe we're having deeper creative ideas, and it's going to be really important to listen to your dreams, especially if you're having any dreams around your home. So dreams regarding your home, regarding your foundation, dreams regarding your creativity and what you desire to expand into in the next little bit. So dreams around anything like this, dreams around your creativity, those are going to be really important. So if you do have a dream journal, I highly recommend writing down your dreams, because they might be really significant in the middle of March, just because we do have this conjunction between the Sun and Neptune. So this can cause, some more prominent dreams to come about for any and all signs. But for you, it's definitely regarding more of your foundation, your home life, your creativity, and things like that. So listen to those dreams. They could be very powerful and very important. But yeah, this is basically a time where things are going to get a little bit more creative. You might feel a little bit more expansive and creative and thinking outside of your normal box than you normally do. And then over on the 18th of the month, we're going to have a full moon in Virgo. That is going to be in your 10th house. And full moons are all about closing out old chapters. So this could be closing out an old chapter in regards to your career, since the 10th house does rule over career. It also rules over our big goals and dreams that we had before. And since it's in the sign of Virgo in your 10th house into full moons are closing out old chapters, right? So we're closing out old chapters in regards to old previous goals that we had. We're closing out maybe an old career cycle that we were in, and we are entering a new cycle in regards to our careers and in regards to different new desires that we have, that we desire to attain, new goals that we're putting in place. Then from the 18th until the 20th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars making a square over to Uranus, and that's in the sign of their Venus and Mars are in the sign of Aquarius, and then Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. This is affecting your 3rd and 6th house. Here is where we're going to realize that maybe we need to break through certain mental blocks. And we're also realizing that maybe we are getting new ideas of how to be a little bit more innovative, new interests that we might have that are coming up. And maybe we're realizing that our new interests are kind of conflicting with our old way of being. And so we're now needing to kind of implement new spontaneous ideas and new spontaneous action in order to kind of break out of our old mold, in order for us to kind of jump into some new interests and close out the old chapters of the old interests that we've had. You might also realize that certain things in your routine need to change in order to accommodate the new interests that you have and the new desires that you desire to reach. Also, at the very end of the month, from the 28th until the 29th, we're going to have Venus conjunct Saturn in your 3rd house, and this is finally committing to a new desire. You are now committing to a new mental state as well. So I think as you break through old limitations, you're realizing like, hey, I need to really hone in on my mentality and what I believe is possible for myself, and to sort of expand and have new interests in other areas, right? And this is also when we're wanting to maybe commit a little bit more to our friendships, to the people that are around us, in order to maybe keep up communication with them a little bit more. And yeah, just new mental states and new interests are coming about for you, and it's going to be sort of committing to those aspects. So with that being said, that is what we have going on in the astrology for Sagittarius. With that being said, we're also going to take some tarot cards just to get any last information from Spirit, if Spirit has any last messages for Sagittarius. All right, we have the 5 of Cups for Sagittarius. It is no longer appropriate to continue looking at all the things that are going wrong. It is time to finally turn the page to a new chapter. When we focus so much on the things that are not working out for us, our focus is 100% towards those things. And it can cause us to get into a little bit of a depression. It can cause us to get deeper into an emotional state that we do not want. Of course, it is important to deal with our emotions and to listen to our emotions. But at the same time, if we fixate on things that are not going right and we over-fixate on them, we are going to continue attracting that because that's all we're looking at, right? We have a very singular focus. If I'm looking at the camera, that's what I see, and I see a couple of the things that are also in this direction, but I'm only seeing this direction. I can't see behind me unless I turn around and I look at what's behind me, right? So this is sort of like your narrow focus right now. If you've been focusing on certain things that you do not like and you do not want to do anymore, you do not want to pursue anymore, and you're constantly focused on those things, and you're constantly focused about the past, what went wrong, and maybe we're worried about repeating that, maybe we're worried about like, oh, is that ever gonna, whatever. If you're focused in that direction, that is the direction you're going in, that is what we're seeing. Therefore, we're not gonna see solutions outside of that. We're not gonna see how to get out of that unless we turn the page and we're like, oh, hey, what's behind here? What are possibilities? If we start to change our focus to, oh, there's possibilities, there's always possibilities, but we do not see them when we're narrow focused on what is currently going wrong. We do not see them. We're focused what's here. Rather, we need to turn the page and start to think about, hey, there's always opportunities. When we get into a new emotional state, that'll tell us which way we're facing, right? Your emotions tell you which way you're facing. If your emotions are negative, you're facing the negative of what's going wrong. If your emotions are positive and hopeful and optimistic and fun and loving and cherishing and things like that, and we're focused on those things, because all of it always exists. We always have a 360-degree spectrum of things that are going on. Whatever you choose to focus on is what you are going to perceive of. So if you turn your focus to the other page and you're like, oh, I'm perceiving of love, because maybe you're like playing with one of your pets, or like you're focused on something more positive and you're focused on like, you know what? Miracles do happen and everything's working out for me. It's not happening to me, it's working out for me. So any negative thing that comes up in your life is happening for you, not to you. It's happening for you. It's an opportunity, right? But when we're focused on like, I can't believe this is happening, we're too focused on the negativity to see the possibility that's sitting right behind us. There's possibility sitting right on the other side of you. But you just need to get past yourself. You need to get past your own beliefs and your own perceptions. Your perception tells you what you can perceive, right? That's why it's called perception, But when we turn the page and we focus on the perception of love, joy, abundance, possibility, miracles, things that are happening for you, right? When we focus on that, then we can then perceive and welcome in and allow opportunity to unfold and arise in our life. All of a sudden we can then perceive of those things, whereas before we can't if we're focused in the wrong direction. So that is what the Five of Cups explains, and that is the last message that Spirit had for you for your month of March. So the month of March is going to be about turning that page to focus on the perception of possibility rather than the perception of lack or limitation. So that is what we have for you, my lovely Sagittarius. It looks like it's going to be a very transformative month of leaving behind the old, leaving behind the past, and walking into the new. So what a beautiful little horoscope we have. I'm sending you all of my love. For the month of March, it looks like there's going to be windows opening of new opportunities in all different directions. So with that being said, don't forget to check out your other sun, moon, and rising sign to get a overall all-encompassing view of your month of March in order to get the most in-depth reading for you. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I see you in my next one. Bye. All right, so my lovely Capricorns, welcome to your part of the horoscope for the month of March. So we begin the month of March with the sun making a sextile over to Uranus. The sun is in your 3rd house in the sign of Pisces, and Uranus is in your 5th house in the sign of Taurus. This can create like new invitations for enjoyment, for fun. This can be like spontaneous invitations for like, fun dates or just more enjoyment in general. This can even be you thinking outside the box about what do I really enjoy doing? What do I want to invite more into my life? And how can I make that happen, right? So there's like just new invitations for fun and enjoyment coming through with the planet of Uranus that's bringing in sort of just like random new fun and random new excitement here being transiting your 5th house. So it just makes like new fun, exciting times just like starting to come about basically. Over on the 2nd of March, we're going to have a new moon in the sign of Pisces, which is going to be affecting your 3rd house. This could be new random communication that's coming in. This can be new creativity around hobbies and interests that you have, realizing that you have a slightly new interest in another area than you normally do, and just, yeah, new interests, new hobbies coming through, and also can be new unexpected communication from somebody as well. And it's usually kind of like unexpected being in the sign of Pisces. So new information kind of coming through that was maybe a little bit unexpected, but all in a good way. So just like new things blossoming, new things blooming in your life. Then we also have Venus and Mars that are going to be conjunct right from the beginning of March all the way up until the middle of March, up until specifically March 12th. And these are going to be in the sign of Capricorn in your first house. And so this is when we're realizing that maybe there's certain aspects of ourselves that we're maybe wanting to activate a little bit more, that we're wanting to bring out a little bit more, and we want the opportunity to really start to create sort of a new self and get past old versions of ourselves. So there's a lot of self-transformation here and a lot of realization about what you really enjoy, who you really want to be, and who you really want to become. And Mars creates this sort of maybe friction that's like getting a little bit antsy of like, oh, I really want to like step into this new version of myself. And it's also taking action on who you really are and what you really want to do and what you really want to become. So there could be a lot of action that you desire to take in your life in order to reach new heights, in order to reach a new sense of self as well. We're also going to have these two planets that are going to be also making a conjunction over to the planet of Pluto that's been in your first house for the past little while now. And Pluto is about really deep transformation. So a lot of Capricorns have been going through some really deep transformation, learning so much more about who they are, what they really desire, maybe some deep repressed limitations that they've had on themselves, and kind of realizing like, hey, it's time for me to break free out of these old molds that I've had myself in. Because I think you're realizing that maybe we've created certain limitations over ourselves, and maybe we're realizing like, hey, there's a new me that's literally cracking open. Because when Pluto's transiting your first house, it's kind of like you're an egg that's being like literally cracked open. You're the bird that's inside that's like, okay, I'm ready to come out, and I'm ready to grow, and I'm ready to expand beyond that. And we're realizing that we've been in this egg and we desire to grow bigger, and we've been growing bigger, and we're realizing the limitation that we've had on ourselves by seeing ourselves a certain way and by being a certain way. So this is bringing about awareness over who you are, who you've been, and who you desire to be. And we're realizing that maybe, certain mental versions of ourselves, or even like this is also pushing past physical limitations as well. So mental limitations and physical limitations, spiritual limitations, limitations in all sorts of areas. You are realizing and unearthing the real you that you desire to come out. This can also be when we start to focus more on like our well-being and also who we are. So we're maybe focused more on our body as well, because the first house is also the body. And so maybe we're wanting to, get to a new level with our body, and maybe we're focused on, okay, what do I need to eat? How do I need to do? What do I need to exercise in order to like, reach some certain goals that I have in regards to my body? Because some Capricorns might be, just holding themselves to a new standard, and they want to reach a new standard for themselves. So that is one aspect of all of these planets that are kind of coming out in the beginning of March that are going to really make you realize, I have some goals that I really want to reach. How am I going to reach that? And Pluto is like the death of the old you. The old you was the one that was in that shell, and now we're kind of like wanting to expand beyond that. We're wanting to be better. We're wanting to crack open a better version of ourselves. And then over on the 4th until the 6th of March, we're going to have the sun making a conjunction with Jupiter. That's of course in your 3rd house, which is like the house of interests, hobbies, friends, short travel, things like that. So there could be opportunities for maybe some short travel, also some opportunities to expand your communication, maybe expand your friend group. This can also be when we begin to receive more communication. Maybe a lot of people are wanting to get a hold of us and things like that. But this can also be you expanding your idea of interests. So this could be you expanding your mind, expanding what you believe is possible for you, expanding the knowledge that you have because of new interests that are coming in and things like that. Then also on the 6th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars together on the same day move into the sign of Aquarius. From the sign of Capricorn, they're like moving right together almost at the exact same time into the sign of Aquarius, which is now going to affect your 2nd house. So it is finally leaving your 1st house where we've been, realizing how we want to transform internally. And then Venus and Mars are now going to move into your second house, which is where we're going to realize that maybe we need some actual physical, tangible ways of making these things happen. So our physical goals that we have with ourselves, our mental goals and things like that, we're realizing like, hey, we need an actual physical action plan to make this happen. This can be changing up your diet, because the second house does have to deal with food a little bit, but it also deals with money. It deals with our comforts. So now we're realizing that maybe we have certain like a new threshold that we want to reach in regards to our comforts, in regards to our money. We are really raising the bar in lots of areas of our life. In Capricorn, you are good at raising the bar, and you are good at thinking about goals that you want to reach, but now it is time to actually put them into action so that you can make them happen. So there's new things coming about with diet, with also your material world, wanting to maybe expand that a little bit and realizing that, hey, maybe we might be limited in money in some ways, and maybe we're wanting to up level that, maybe we're wanting to get to new heights with that. And also, again, in our material world. Then from the 12th to the 14th of the month, we're going to have the Sun make a conjunction over to Neptune, which has been in your third house for a little bit. So lots of third house stuff happening for Capricorns, which is all about, again, friendships, new interests, new hobbies, communication coming in, and all that kind of stuff. And with this conjunction between the Sun and Neptune, this is like really highlighting and enhancing your creativity, what you find interest in. This is also going to enhance certain communication with relationships that you have. Maybe you're going to talk about bigger ideas, and those bigger ideas that you're beginning to talk about with other people are beginning to inspire you and enhance your creativity, enhance your interests in all sorts of different aspects. And Neptune also does have to deal with the media and being in the third house. This is maybe us wanting to, you know, begin to communicate more, or begin to even show our arts a little bit more, show what we're capable of a little bit more, and things like that. Then on the 18th of the month, we're going to have a full moon in Virgo, which is going to be affecting your 9th house. And this can be when we're shedding old belief systems. This can be when we're shedding old limitations on our freedom. And we're realizing like, hey, maybe I need to have more freedom. And one of the best examples that I've been like talking about, especially since the full moon is in Virgo, and Virgo is sort of, you know, like a perfectionist. They know exactly what the plan is. They want to know exactly what that is. And maybe we're closing out the need to have it all figured out. Maybe we're just wanting to add a little bit more freedom and a little bit more fun to our lives, because Capricorn is a sign that's very dedicated, and they like to know details. They like to have it all planned out, just like Virgo, right? They're similar in that way. But they hold themselves to a very high standard. And I think that you are finally closing out, you know, old standards that you have, and you're kind of almost birthing in new standards. But they're a higher standard, but they're also more in alignment with you, and you're closing out old standards that were no longer in alignment with you, and finally realizing what you really want to do, who you really want to be, and making those new standards. From the 18th until the 20th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars making a square over to Uranus. This is going to be in your 2nd and 5th house. So this is when we're realizing that maybe fun sometimes gets in the way and becomes a little bit of a distraction from certain goals that you want to reach in regards to your diet, in regards to your money, and your dedication to, you know, making money or making material goals happen. And maybe we're realizing that there's certain aspects of us that enjoy having a really good time, and maybe we're noticing, because the fact that Uranus has been transiting your 5th house, you've been noticing that more fun invitations have been coming up into your life, more fun adventures have been like randomly, spontaneously coming up in your life, new interests have been coming up in your life. But we're maybe realizing that there's a little bit of a resistance, because we're so keen on, you know, hopping on those fun, exciting invitations rather than focusing on the Venus Mars 2nd house stuff, which is all about your work, your material goals and aspirations, your diet aspirations, and things like that. And we're realizing that there might be a little bit of resistance between those two aspects, but that aspect is only happening for 3 whole days. So I think that you're going to realize things very quickly about what you need to change in order to actually make your dreams and desires and new goals a reality and make them more attainable. So that is what is happening there. And then at the end of the month, from the 28th till the 29th, we're going to have Venus and Saturn conjunct in your second house. So this is finally committing to those goals that you have, whereas we're realizing the resistance, you know, when we're making that square over to Uranus. But then finally at the end of the month, it's like Venus conjunct Saturn, which is asking you now to committing to your material goals, your wealth goals, your comfort goals, and also your eating habits. So now it's finally time to, you know, focus on committing yourself to those new aspirations and to those new goals that you've made for yourself. So that is what we have for you in the month of March astrologically. There's no retrogrades, things are moving forward, and I think you're going to be realizing lots of new things and kind of making some major breakthroughs in your life. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and shuffle the tarot cards and let's see what comes up for you. We have two cards here. We have the Seven of Discs, so you're planting new goals and aspirations, but we need to water them in order for them to grow, otherwise they're not going to grow. So the new dreams and aspirations that you are planting, that you're putting into place, I think you're going to notice that a lot of them can sprout and really come into your life as long as we're watering them and giving them what they need in order to grow. We also have the King of Discs here. So you're realizing your true potential, like, hey, I can make these dreams happen. I just need to actually dedicate to it. These two cards is you need to dedicate to it. Then it's going to happen. And I think that this is kind of the biggest realization is like, my goals are not out of reach. They're not out of reach. I just need to get out of my own way and really dedicate myself to them. So the month of March is basically those big realizations are going to be coming up to the surface. And this is you getting more solidly attached to, you know, this new you that's sort of birthing and coming through this, you know, Pluto transformation that you're having. So that is what we have for you, my lovely Capricorns. Be sure to check out your other sun, moon, and rising sign if you want to get a full all-encompassing view of your month of March. Highly recommend checking those out. Just to get an overall encompassing view. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed your horoscope and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye! All right, so my lovely Aquariuses, welcome to your part of the March little horoscope that we have. So we begin March with the sun making a sextile over to Uranus. Uranus has been in your 4th house for quite some time, causing a lot of different home shifts, home changes, and things like that. And with this beautiful sextile that we have over to the sun in your 2nd house in the sign of Pisces, this might cause some unexpected shifts in making your home a little bit more comfortable in the beginning of the month, because maybe there's been some unexpected home stuff happening for the past little bit with Uranus transiting your 4th house. And now with this beautiful sextile over to the sun in your 2nd house, this is maybe where we're improving our home a little bit, unexpected home improvements or unexpected improvements to your foundation or your security. So this could be improvements in the amount of money that you have in your bank. This could be improvements in your security in general, maybe with your job or your career or things like that. Or it can be, again, just like new improvements around your home and things like that that are making you feel a little bit more comfortable and making you feel a little bit more secure while you're going through this Uranus transit your 4th house kind of situation. Then over on the 2nd of March, we're going to have a new moon in Pisces in your 2nd house. And so this is going to kind of bring about maybe new desires or aspirations for your material life. Maybe we're desiring, you know, new things materially. Maybe we're noticing that we have new interests or goals that we're desiring to reach and things like that. This could even be new career goals, goals within money and things like that as well. Then also from the beginning of March all the way until mid-March, all the way up until the 12th, we are going to have Venus and Mars conjunct in Capricorn in your 12th house. And so with these two conjunct in your 12th house, this is realizing that maybe we are changing a lot mentally and we're having a lot of breakthroughs because we're realizing different aspects mentally where we've had resistance, because Mars kind of unearths and shows us maybe where we're having certain resistances and where we desire to take action. So there might be new ideas coming up that you really desire to take action on, that you really desire to go for. And maybe we're realizing that in our past, we might have had certain belief systems or resistances and things like that that are now finally coming to the surface. And we're now finally coming to the surface with things that maybe we used to repress, things that maybe we just didn't even notice before. Because the 12th house is kind of like the hidden aspects, right? So we're realizing that maybe we had hidden limitations that were on us before, and those are finally coming to the surface, especially with these two planets being in the sign of Capricorn, transiting this area, this is realizing that maybe certain big dreams and goals, we might be unearthing certain resistances around that, but at the same time, we're also unearthing beautiful ideas about how to actually attain some big goals that we have. So at the same time, we're realizing, okay, I need a breakthrough out of this in order to attain this, and we're realizing basically how to do that. Then from the 3rd until the 4th of the month, we're also going to have those two same planets making a conjunction over to Pluto, which has also been transiting your 12th house for quite some time. And Pluto is the planet of just massive transformation. It is the ruler of transformation, let's just say. So this is when we are realizing that there's certain transformations that we're having mentally, because we're realizing that we are unearthing old mental aspects of ourselves, just like I was saying before. But Pluto makes this a lot more intense, and we're realizing like, oh, we're going through a whole mental transformation where we might be realizing new belief systems, we might be adopting new belief systems, we might be encountering people, places, experiences, and circumstances that are helping us realize like, hey, I really want to transform my mind in new ways. And maybe you're interested in learning new things. Maybe you're interested in discovering and uncovering deep mysteries, maybe within yourself or within the world. This is uncovering deep mysteries in all aspects, whether that is you internally or from the external world. We're interested in uncovering secrets. We're interested in uncovering the unknown and making it known. Then from the 4th until the 6th of the month, we're going to have the sun making a conjunction over to Jupiter, which is in your 2nd house, which Jupiter transiting your 2nd house is amazing for bringing in more abundance into your life. And when it's conjunct the sun as well, this is really going to highlight maybe some new ideas about how we can make more money, how we can bring more abundance into our lives. This might be you expanding your material life in some way. So there could be big purchases around this time, or adding in more comfort to your life as well. So we might be adding in more comforts, making ourselves feel more comfortable, or just expanding ourselves monetarily or materially. Then over on the 6th of the month, we're also going to have Venus and Mars, which were in Capricorn, but on that one day, the 6th of the month, Venus and Mars are together going to move into the sign of Aquarius, which is your 1st house. It is your sign, right? So they're moving into your sign. And this is going to give you tons more energy and a new focus on yourself. Finally, you're focused on me, that kind of stuff, rather than focused on our mentality and, all the stuff that's going on non-physically. We're finally more focused now on ourselves, and we're looking at like, oh, our aesthetic, we might want to improve our aesthetic. We might want to improve who we are within ourselves. This could be more focused on your body, your well-being, just because the 1st house is also about the body. So we might be focused on, what are we going to exercise some more? Do we need to maybe focus on what we're eating a little bit more? And this is just bringing up your vitality and your energy so much more. So I think as an Aquarius, with these moving into Aquarius, you're thinking about new ideas about how you can become a better version of you and how you can improve yourself. And there's going to be a lot more self-focus and focus on your particular desires and what you want to create your future to be like. So with that being said, then in the middle of March, from the 12th to the 14th, we're going to have the sun conjunct Neptune in your 2nd house. And this is thinking of new ideas. This is kind of improving your creativity, especially with what you own materially. So I could see some Aquariuses maybe making some other purchases. Maybe they're getting some new inspiration about what they want to have in their life, and just feeling a little bit more creative with what they own, or even creative around your comfort. So making yourself feel a little bit more comfortable and getting creative, maybe even desiring to make a creative project, because the 2nd house also deals with things materially. So there could even be a desire to create something materially that's very beautiful. This is very artsy, and things like that. Then on the 18th of the month, we're going to have a full moon in Virgo in your 8th house, which is causing a lot of transformation, because the 8th house is transformation. And the 8th house is basically where we are shedding our old skin. And with the full moon is also shedding our old skin, but the full moon deals with our emotions. And in the sign of Virgo, maybe we're realizing like that we're closing out old chapters with our emotions. You know, we're closing out old chapters emotionally, and we're realizing that it is time to let go of the old so we can step into a new phase. This is also going through major healing and transformation around healing. So old scars and old wounds that we used to have from our past are now beginning to kind of close out and fade away, and we're beginning a new cycle of healing. We're beginning a new cycle of desire about what we want in our future, especially emotionally, and what we desire to maybe give as well, because Virgo is also a being of service to others. So who do we want to be? What do we want to give to others? How do we want to improve other people's lives emotionally? And what do we desire to close out in our lives in order to be the best version of ourselves? Then from the 18th until the 20th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars conjunct while making a square over to Uranus. So this is going to be in your first house as well as your fourth house. And this is maybe realizing that there's certain improvements that you desire to make around your own personal life and your own persona, as well as within your foundation. So we're realizing maybe certain resistances and certain things that we're just no longer resonating with, that we desire to maybe make some changes and add some more refreshing newness to those areas. Then from the 28th till the 29th, we're going to have Venus conjunct Saturn in your first house. And so this is a new commitment to you, a new commitment to a new version of you that's kind of like birthing and coming out at this time. And Venus is the planet of beauty, and when it's conjunct with Saturn, it's kind of like what we're beautifying that aspect of our lives. And being in your first house, this is a time of you desiring to maybe beautify who you are, make a new version of yourself that you're very proud of, that you're really excited about. And Aquarius is, you are the kings and queens of innovation and newness and being unique. And so there's almost just like a new uniqueness that you are desiring, and new uniquenesses of yourself that you're realizing and that are coming to the surface. And I think it's just you kind of making a commitment to this new version of you that's sort of, you know, coming out of the woodwork. And so we're closing out old chapters, and there's a new you that is coming through at this time. So that is what we have for our lovely Aquariuses for the month of March. That is what is going on. Now we're going to take some tarot cards just to get maybe any last information for our lovely Aquariuses. So let's see, we have one card that came out. We have the Princess of Discs, so the Page of Pentacles. So this is you dedicating to a new goal. And we realize that this goal might, you know, we still have some ways to go, but we're kind of maybe dedicating to a new interest. We may be dedicating ourselves to a new goal that we have. And the discs, the pentacles, are material. So there could be like new material desires that you have in your life. And we're just like, you know, we're opening up that new page. We're opening up that new chapter of, you know, attaining that. And it could still be a little bit far away, because usually the Page of Pentacles is realizing that you're at the starting point of it, but we're ready for the journey. We know that we're going to eventually attain this goal, and we're setting out on this journey to attain it. So with willpower and dedication, you can attain it, but I think that this kind of indicates that there could be some new material goals that you desire to attain, or it could even be career goals and things like that. So that is what we have for you, my lovely Aquariuses. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Be sure to check out your other sun, moon, and rising signs to get a good over-encompassing horoscope for your month of March, because those will be also affecting you and also super important to take a look at. So hope you enjoyed today's video, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Bye. All right, so my Pisces, welcome to your March prediction for the month of March. And for you, we start off the month with the sun making a sextile over to Uranus. The sun is, of course, in Pisces in your first house, and then Uranus is in Taurus in your third house. So this is kind of like new unexpected communication coming through, especially with Uranus transiting your third house. We might be meeting new people, having new communication coming in. This can also be when we gain new hobbies or interests, or we learn new information that kind of is exciting and illuminates us and gets us sort of excited. So it's communication coming through. We might notice that people are being more open with us than normal. We're maybe expanding our communications in some way and just feeling really good about it. Then over on the 2nd of the month, we're going to have a new moon in the sign of Pisces, which is your sign. So this is affecting your first house. So a new moon, when it's in your first house, which happens once a year, always around your birthday, is causing you to kind of like birth out into a new person. And this is also going to cause you to have new desires. This is going to cause you to just feel like a new sense of self is coming through. And this is also you entering a new emotional state as well. Then from the beginning of March all the way till the 12th of March, so, you know, for the first half of March, we're going to have Venus conjunct Mars. And this is in Capricorn in your 11th house. And this is causing, whenever Venus and Mars transit the 11th house, this can be new friendships coming in, new connections. This can even be new romantic connections for some of you, just because Venus is the planet of love, but this can also just be that we are connecting deeper in our romantic relationships. But generally, we usually meet new people whenever Venus and Mars transit the 11th house. This is also taking action in that area of meeting new people and new communication. This can also be expanding your friendships or meeting new people through other friendships and things like that. We are also going to have Venus and Mars conjunct Pluto from the 3rd until the 4th of the month. And with this powerful conjunction with all these 3 planets together in your 11th house in the sign of Capricorn, this can be when we are shedding old friendships and also making really powerful new connections, because Pluto is the planet of transformation. And so we're realizing that a lot is transforming within our group of people that we know. And maybe we've noticed that we're shedding old friendships, and certain friendships no longer really resonate with us because Pluto is this beautiful planet of transformation. And maybe we're even going to notice that certain friendships that we have are transforming into something new. So we might not be fully shedding them, but we're noticing that our friendships might be transforming into something unexpected that we didn't really know. And usually this is a positive transit, since it is next to Venus. And with Mars, this is kind of like taking action and things like that. But we might be noticing that just all sorts of friendships are making some certain transformations this month, with all these 3 planets being very connected, and it's going to take transformations in unexpected ways. And we're blossoming really new, powerful connections, and also transforming and shedding ones that are no longer serving us as well. Also from the 4th until the 6th of the month, we're going to have the Sun make a conjunction with Jupiter, which is in Pisces in your 1st house. And this is a lot of self-expansion. You know, realizing that maybe you desire to expand in new ways, you have new interests. This can be a new focus on yourself and wanting to maybe improve yourself or reach new heights with yourself. And this can be making new ideas aesthetically for yourself. And so this could be you experimenting and wanting to, you know, just become a better version of you, basically. So there could be a desire to maybe make new purchases for self-improvement, desiring to improve your aesthetic and things like that. Then on the 6th of the month, we're going to have Venus and Mars on the same day move from the sign of Capricorn to the sign of Aquarius at basically the same time, which is amazing. It's a very rare kind of transit when 2 planets move right together into a new sign. And they're going to be doing that on the 6th of the month, which means that they're going to be moving into your 12th house. And so this is when we're going to be now focusing on improving our mind, and we're realizing maybe we have certain limitations, because Mars does sort of make us realize maybe where we have certain limitations or restrictions, because Mars wants to move forward. Mars wants to take action and push forward, right? But when it's in our 12th house, we're maybe realizing that there's certain aspects of ourselves that have fear, right? Because the 12th house is where we hold and hide certain fears that we have. So maybe we're realizing around the 6th of the month, like, ooh, there's some fears that we have. And when it's conjunct with Venus, maybe there's certain fears that we have in relationships. Maybe there's certain limitations that we have around relationships that are causing us to maybe not move forward, right? And so now we're finally realizing what those are in order for us to now move forward in our relationships further, and we can break through certain restrictions that we've had. And being in the sign of Aquarius is when we think outside of the box, right? And it's a bit unconventional. We might realize that we have certain unconventionalities, and we feel more comfortable being a little bit more unconventional in certain aspects, and that's okay, right? So with that being said, then in the middle of the month from the 12th till the 14th, we're going to have the Sun make a conjunction over to Neptune, which is in the sign of Pisces, which is in your 1st house. And so this is a huge desire to have self-improvement. So in the middle of March, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Pisceans desire for self-improvement and being a little bit more creative with their aesthetic, being a little bit more creative with themselves, being more creative in general, just wanting to let your creativity shine wanting to let your uniqueness shine. And yeah, just it's all about having more creativity and more fun and kind of connecting more to what you fantasize for your future. Like, who is your fantasy version of you? It is time to figure that out. And once you figure that out, which is going to be, that's going to be the one of the prominent themes in the middle of March. And I think you're going to be realizing a lot of what you desire to be and become. Then on the 18th of the month, we're going to have a full moon in Virgo, which is going to be affecting your 7th house because that is the opposite sign of Pisces. And this is when we're going to be closing out old limitations and old ways of being, old emotional stuff within our relationships. And Virgo is also the sign of healing as well. So this is also us closing out old chapters and old wounds, allowing for more healing to happen, shedding our old skin from previous times. And the full moon in Virgo, this is also when we're realizing that maybe we're a bit picky with our emotions, and we might realize that our emotional pickiness might come up around the 18th of the month. But this is for us to shed it. This is for us to let go of it, since the full moon is all about closing out old chapters. So this is for you to now close out old versions of you that have maybe been a little bit, like picky with your emotions and picky with things like that. And it's good to have discernment of what you desire and what you do not desire. But Virgo is helping us realize maybe where we need to let go of our perfectionism and need for things to be perfect. So then from the 18th until the 20th of the month, we're going to have Venus conjunct Mars while making a square over to the planet of Uranus. And this is going to be affecting your 12th and your 3rd house. So this is realizing where we might have certain fears or resistances when it comes to our openness in communication, or when it comes to us allowing certain communication to take place, or conversations or things like that. Where are we having certain resistances? And this can also be when we're also receiving unexpected communication as well, because Uranus is the planet of unexpected stuff, and being in your 3rd house, it's bringing up unexpected new connections, new communication of all kinds. But with a square over to Venus and Mars in your 12th house, this might be bringing up like random hidden messages that were unexpected, but I do think it's going to eventually become a positive thing. But I think we're just needing to break out of certain resistances and limitations that we have. But that's a very quick transit that's only lasting from the 18th until the 20th of the month. There's also a little fly in this room. And then from the 28th till the 29th, we're going to have Venus conjunct Saturn in your 12th house in the sign of Aquarius. And so this is when we are committing to a new version of ourselves mentally, because the 12th house is our mentality, and it's also where we do have certain fears and things like that. But I think that what you're realizing is like, I just need to persevere through my certain fears, otherwise I'm always going to be limited by them, right? So this is when we're going to be realizing at the end of the month, either we embrace a new mindset and we give ourselves the ability to create a new beautiful mindset that we love, that serves us, rather than one that limits us and holds us back from our desires out of fear. So this is when we're finally illuminating those certain things throughout the month, and realizing that we need to break free from those, especially around communication, around inviting newness in, and just overcoming certain fears that we've had. So there's going to be this beautiful transit of Venus conjunct Saturn, which is going to allow you to maybe commit to a new mentality and a new viewpoint, and to finally set a proper foundation that can help you get through and make it through certain fears that you've had, and make it through old mindsets and limitations that you've had. So that is what we have for Pisces for the month of March, astrologically. And now we're going to take some tarot cards just to get maybe any last information from Spirit for your month of March. So let's see, my Pisces. All right, so we have the 6 of Wands being reversed. Where are we resisting our own success, or where are we maybe even fearing our own success? So there's a potential for success for you. There's potential for all of us for success at all times. There's a little fly in this room. He's just causing all sorts of distractions. But we could probably take that as a sign of some kind. A little fly. Flies are all about transformation too, because they transform a lot. They're kind of like they're sort of like mushrooms, where they decompose things and allow them to transform and whatnot. But with that being said, so clearly there's some things that we need to decompose and maybe transform within our lives, since this little fly is giving us some beautiful signs throughout this whole horoscope. But with the Six of Wands being reversed, what is your view of success? What is success to you? I think you might be redefining what success looks like to you, or having new ideas that are coming about that you desire to be successful in, and you can be successful in them. You can be. But we might be disbelieving it or resisting our own success in some way, and March is going to be the month that is sort of bringing our awareness to that and sort of allowing us to expand out of that. We can now expand out of that so that we can claim our success. We don't need to run from it. You know, some Pisces might not like the spotlight, right? And the Six of Wands is all about being in the spotlight. And I notice a lot of Pisceans, they rather be internal, but they are so creative and they're so imaginative, and they have so much creativity with them. And they're also all the signs in one. So it can be a lot at times, and your mind can be all over the place. But that's what makes you so beautifully creative, right? But there might be certain fears that come up since we have all of the signs all together at once. But as we, work through that, we realize that our potential can be anything, and we can have the spotlight once in a while. We don't have to fear the spotlight. We can attain our goals and enjoy them. We don't have to stay stuck in the same old, same old. It's time to explore and be creative and allow that to shine once again, and trust in yourself more, and believe in yourself more. So yes, that is what we have for our amazing Pisceans for the month of March. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out your other sun, moon, and rising signs to get a beautiful, all-encompassing energy for the month of March for you, to make it more personal and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I see you in my next one. Bye!